people watch the news for two reasons. One or two reasons. Information or confirmation. That's it. Are you really trying to get to the bottom line of something so that you can make an intelligent, informed, accurate decision? Or are you saying, yeah, man, I knew it? So it depends on your motive and, really what you're trying to do. Because the information is there. It truly, truly is there. We are at our zenith in information. I mean, shit, we got more information than we know what to do with.
I'm overwhelmed.
And we got some of the biggest dummies walking around saying the dumbest shit.
Comfort.
That is right.
Thinking is difficult. That's why most people judge.
Carl Jung. Carl Jung. Cheers to Coach.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast, episode 100. In this episode, I speak with KC, Christon and Kwane Vedrene. This was an incredible conversation, to say the least, and it was extra special, not only because it was episode 100, but because we traveled to Las Vegas to film it at KC's home. And if you've been following along, you know that the Sam Dever Podcast episode 1 was with KC at his home in this very spot. This was also our first two-guest setup, and I wouldn't have had it with any other people to start this out for us. KC and Kwane are two individuals that I highly respect and admire, and the conversation was top tier, to say the very least. I cannot wait for you to check it out. The book of the episode is going to be Evolutionary Psychology by David Buss. I recently finished this book. It's incredible. He breaks down the human mind, our behaviors, why we act the way we do in society, family structures, so many things. Book of the episode, Evolutionary Psychology by David Buss. If you want to watch this podcast, be sure to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe at youtube.com/@thesamdeverpodcast. If you want to listen to this podcast, be sure to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I would also just like to thank everybody who has supported this podcast up until this point. Extra special thanks to Eric Sarich for making the drive with me to Vegas to film episode 100 and for all you do. Here's my conversation with KC and Kwane. Well, KC, Christon, and Kwane Vedrene, welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast.
Good to be here.
Thank you for having me.
Episode 100, by the way.
Yes, indeed. Congratulations.
The Centurion.
Yeah,
this is a big deal.
This is huge. I mean, it was almost 4 years ago. KC sat in here in his place, and I didn't even have the audio hooked into the laptop for the first 10 minutes.
That's right. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
What did I say? Fire the sound guy, which was you.
Well, we have a phenomenal sound guy now, Eric.
Hello.
So he's got us covered.
He's got us covered.
And Kwane, thank you for making the journey here. When KC even mentioned that this could be a possibility of you coming in, I knew it would be sweet, but now it's even sweeter. So yeah, this is a gift right here.
Respect, man.
So I've been really looking forward to this, and it's just surreal right now, even us starting this. It's like it's actually happening.
Yeah, we made it, man. You made it.
Yeah, we all made it. Look what you made. I mean, look, you got the Dog City poster in the background.
I do. Yes.
Were you even thinking of Dog City back then 4 years ago? Was that even had you even conceptualized that yet?
I don't know what I had for breakfast this morning. Yeah, kind of.
I will say one time we were at the house back in Phoenix, and remember we were sitting at the table, and you were like, man, we should do a gangster film. And you remember?
That's right, yeah.
And we ad-libbed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
We ad-libbed about the first
couple of scenes.
Yep, we sure did.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was instrumental in the development of Dog City, but it definitely had teeth at that point.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I do recall. Yes.
So there was an idea generating in you.
Yeah. Oh, sure. But we got Dog City out, uh, you were part of.
Thank you for that.
We're getting some good attention from it, you know. And of course, as you know, we shot chapter 2 again. You were part of that, as was my brother here. So we are in the post production stage. It looks good. It's going to be a level up. We've leveled up. So I'm looking forward to putting it out. The response that I get, I think, is going to be overwhelmingly positive, especially if you've seen the first one. We learned quite a bit. And, you try to implement all of those things that you can. You're dealing with indie budgets, though, so they're telling you to take, 5 fishes and 2 loaves of bread and feed this. That's in essence what they're doing with this budget. But we got it done. Still learn some things. Like don't shoot in May. But we're pleased with it. All things considered, it looks really, really good from the things that I've seen.
And then chapter 1's getting in festivals.
Yeah, we have got some good attention. We've gotten some really good attention. Nominated for Best Crime Drama and won. And yeah, we've gotten some attention, which is always a plus. Hundreds and hundreds, sometimes thousands of films are submitted. And to get attention, for them to look at your product and say, you know what, this can go into a particular bucket is an honor, just to be selected, to say we'll review it, because so many don't make the cut. Hundreds of films don't make the cut. Our nomination, we were told, for best crime drama, there were films for over 22 countries, and we were one of 3. So to me, that says, A, they appreciate what I was trying to say and how we did it. So I don't take that lightly at all. And hopefully we get some more traction with chapter 2. But it's a great experience, great honor. Hopefully people will continue to support it. I think they'll really love chapter 2. We've expanded the story, expanded some characters, gave some characters some more depth. And we're looking forward to putting it out, having a great premiere. Hopefully November-ish, early November-ish. I don't like to do things when it's hot, especially here in Las Vegas. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. And, seeing what happens, really. Seeing what happens. This was my first film. Dog City Chapter 1 was my first film. And to get the response that I got was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
That's what I've actually told a few people when I tell them about Dog City. I'm like, this is the first one you've done.
Right.
Like, to do it at that level.
Right.
This wasn't a 5-minute slap something together. No, this was a full out. And what's the runtime on the first one? It had 45, 50 minutes?
49 and change, so 50 minutes.
Yeah. And the fact that, just the overall look, the presentation,
Right.
the way you guys are marketing it, coming from a business angle with them, you
Right.
really have it together on that end.
Well, we're
at least the outside thinks you got it together.
But we are trying to make it look good. But we're learning as we go. Big shout out to Chris Robbie, my guy. He's doing a phenomenal job. It's really a team effort. Not to sound cliche, it is, because I couldn't do what he does. I don't think he could do what I do. But when everyone sets their ego aside and say, hey, look, this is a project that we have to work together to achieve our common goal. I think that you can achieve a level of success, get a level of success, you know?
It's funny you mentioned that in I think he's one of the Fertitta brothers, or the guy that owns the Houston Rockets.
He's a cousin.
He's the cousin. Okay. I'm reading his book right now, and that exact thing you just said, he said one of his keys to success is to go find people that are good at what you're not, and don't work with the ones, not like never, but
Right.
don't go try to find people that do similar things to what you
Exactly.
do. You got to
Right.
find the people that are good at those things that you're not, and they need to work with you too.
Hey, that takes a little humility to say, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do this. And also give these people a little freedom to do what they're good at. You can't micromanage. You shouldn't micromanage them or helicopter them, hovering over them. Let them. If you're hiring this person or you're working with this person, you're in essence saying, yes, you're good at what you do. Go do it. You shouldn't be on their case. Give them the freedom to do what you are believing they're good at. Let them do it. Yeah, that's how I've gotten, or we have gotten to where we are with this project. So yeah, I believe that wholeheartedly. What say you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's important. It's almost necessary for a good product. For a good product to allow people to and delegate and allow people to do or furnish their expertise.
Right.
And you got to trust, humility,
Yeah.
because from your perspective, I can see, it's your story, it's your brainchild. And then when you give that to someone else and it came out of your brain, it's only natural that, man, are they going to do this the way I saw it?
Yeah.
You got to fight against that. And even if it's veered a little way from,
Yep.
let it go.
Right.
Let it go. Because it seemingly comes together in the end. The magic of cinema, I was just thinking as I was listening to you speak, what does a movie do for a person? I think originally Hollywood, I think of Charlie Chaplin and silent film. It was, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was around a war-torn country at that time that was coming in. And so it was entertainment, it was a distraction. And so the involvement of cinema to that point, cinema has now become documentaries, comedies, special effects, space. Cinema does a lot more than what it originally did as an entertainment or distraction. Cinema teaches. And so with this movie, an imitation of real life, perhaps, for some who watch it, they will relate depending on who they are. Some will be entertained, but there's story that has teeth that I think, everybody, I read this one time and I don't know from where, but you're looking for yourself in a film. You're looking for yourself, what you can relate to.
Yeah.
And so I think with this film, I think there's a wide span of people who will see themselves somewhere, whether it's in a character, whether it's in their own experiences. So the fact that you took your brainchild and trusted those to bring it to life, kudos to you, man. I think you're getting that, man. 6 nominations.
six-
I think they're going to
six
be
so far,
more.
yeah.
And 2 hasn't
Hopefully.
even hit the film festival circuit
Yeah,
yet. So
yeah,
there will definitely
exactly.
be more than 6.
Yeah. It's true what you're saying. Because as we mentioned, this was my first one. And to just be truthfully honest, brutally honest rather, I didn't, I never went to film school, etc. I just knew, I had some good relationships with actors, etc. Got some people, but I always knew what I wanted it to look like. So when you run playback, It's like, no, that's not it. And we even had to do 2 rounds of editing for the first one because like, man, he's not capturing this. Let me. Then I hooked up with my man Donovan Chambers, and we started going through the footage again. I said, he should have put that here, and so let's cut this and redo some things. So I'm saying that to say, yeah, Brainchild, yeah, I know what I wanted it to look like. I know what I should be seeing when I'm looking at it. And then secondly, I wrote it along with Chris with the intention of you're in the room, you're watching this happen. Because some movies I feel, and I say this with all due respect and with a grain of salt, they're just so fantastic. You can't, it's just almost unrelatable. But with Dog City, the way I wrote it, and bringing in people like my brother, etc., and being familiar with these types of people, these characters, been around these guys, people like this, I thought it was very realistic to say, man, this could really happen. This really could happen. I could be living next door to some people that who knows what the fuck they do. Wow, these guys are doing this, doing that. One of my neighbors, because I have just to I don't work a regular 9 to 5, right? So sometimes they see me and I'm home just days and days and days, and they see these really nice cars pulling up. It's like, hey man, what are you? This young black dude don't go to work. I see Mercedes and $120,000 Teslas pulling up and brand new electric Cadillac. What's going on over there? And it's none of your damn business. No, I'm just kidding. But my point is especially here in Las Vegas, you just don't know who you're living next door to, especially if you don't get to know your neighbors, which a lot of people don't.
That's a very good point, especially out here, because so many people aren't really from here originally. They've all moved here. There's no state tax. People with money have just come here, so you have no idea where they made it, how they made it. But that's interesting.
Yeah, but it's there's some I told you at the premiere, I told you a story about those 2 New York detectives, man, who flew out here from New York, man, and they were working for don't give me, it was either the Bonanno or the Gambino family, and they were contract killers for the police department. Look this up. And they were living in this area. Retired, came out here, got homes right across the street, literally, from each other. And they kept doing what they were doing. And when they were arrested, their neighbors were flabbergasted, man. But it's like, yo, yeah, you're living next door to a killer. A killer. And so when going back to Dog City, that's kind of how I wanted to write it. We weren't overly flashy. We weren't, bombastic. We're just guys with some money, a lot of power, a lot of influence. And we could be living next door to you. And that is the case today. In some neighborhood around here, someone is living next door to somebody they have no idea who that person is. I mean, they can say, hey, Bob, hey, Sam. But who is Sam? They don't know.
It's interesting. I haven't heard that angle on it yet.
Yeah.
And one thing, I think it's only appropriate, you two sitting here, I love your two's dynamic in the film together. Dog City Chapter 1. I have not seen the second one, obviously.
No.
But especially that scene, you two in the backseat of the car driving, you know which one I'm talking about, that conversation?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Dude, like I even get goosebumps talking about there's that's its own thing right there. Like Kwane and KC. So I think that might be a nice segue or like a small pivot, your two's relationship and what it was like for you two to come together and work together on screen like this.
We have an interesting relationship, man. And it goes back to like diapers, honestly. Um, I'm a little older, and our
A lot older.
parents, our parents,
30 years older. I mean,
our parents were best friends, and I suffered great tragedy. They died. My parents died. My grandparents died. So I had like 5 parents die in the span of 4 years when I was still a child, teenager. I think the last when I was a teenager. And so his mom and dad stepped up, kind of looked after my younger sister because we were still children too. And Carl was always, well, their family, but Carl in particular was, I was my own man. I was going through a lot, but I kind of beat to my own drum. And I noticed Carl would always watch, because I got brothers. And so Carl would always watch. And so I would watch him watching me. And, he would come up to me like, what are those? What are those?
yeah.
And I'd be looking at him like, you noticed, huh? So, they say pay it forward. Because I saw he had a sense of style that I in my fondness of him, wanted to nurture, feed, if you will. So I would bestow upon him some high quality stuff just to see what he was going to do with it. And so then in certain occasions, I would see it and he did it well. So I was like, a fine pupil.
Grasshopper.
So, man, then I saw him take off on his own as we got older. I evolved, but I saw him evolving too and letting go of me. And now it became his own. And so for that, we were able to now, I was no longer in a position of bestowing where there was an exchange.
Right. Right.
And so, he had his own style. I had my own style. Mm-hmm. And we respected each other's styles. And I think, and then people who knew us, they were like, man, y'all like the same people there. And this is true. I've walked into establishments where people have called me him.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at them like, nah. Oh, my bad. And so there's a certain, this is just a uniqueness. And so to actually be on film together like that, I think to the viewer, they'll see a natural camaraderie, a natural cadence between the two of us, because we are different. We are different, but there are unique similarities. We're from the same place. We've had similar upbringings, and we have similar style. I was just thinking, man, my mind is a dangerous place to be, but I was asking myself, what is the definition of style? And I put that out to a few people who, I wanted to know what they thought. And, most people presume style is dressing, fashion, clothing. But I never thought that. I always thought style was from the inside out. If you undress me, how I carry myself is style. You just put clothing on me, and whether it's the right color, the right fit, that enhances what's already inside. But most people view style from the outside in. I've always viewed style from the inside out. And that was something that I think I felt that way from a very young age. And so I kind of I think naturally looked different, moved different. And I think he noticed because he agreed, although that wasn't verbalized at a very young age. Like, man, style is from the inside out. And so I think you see that in the film, that the two characters may be contrary to those who are outside of those two. These guys feel style is from the inside out. So even as we run this business of crime, we do it with style. It's not void of empathy, compassion, and those words aren't associated with gangsters. Compassion, understanding. but that's style with these two characters. But I think that was with us anyway. We grew up we come from gang-like tendencies. It was just the environment we grew up in. And so to not become overwhelmed and embody that, but at the same time recognize it, game peep game, but still have some style about you in that area, that stands out. And I think that was that was the endeavor with the film, is to show two cats who, they got some levels to them, and they do what they do with style. So I think that's me and KC. Just been a long time coming.
Yeah. And it has me thinking too, as you're rolling out more of Dog Cities. I mean, you two could have your own origin story.
Yeah.
Well, that's
it makes you wonder when you're watching, like, how did those two
exactly?
Like,
well,
where did they come from?
that's part of the strategy to make the episodes the way we do. I want someone to say, "Man, this has enormous potential. Let me get with this cat and see what we can do." Because there's layers, there's character development. How did we meet? Why am I, this younger guy, commanding these older men? How did that happen? Why are they listening to me? Why do they give me the respect that they do? So the story can go in many, many different directions. You can focus on different characters, like who he is, how we met, why he is the way he is, who am I, etc. Angel, what's his story? What is, he's married in the film. He's married to an older woman. How does that work, etc. So, point is, there's a lot you could do with Dog City, a lot, and I'm hoping that some people, it's going to get into the hands and eye in front of the eyes of the right people, and they're going to say, "Hey, man, let's do something with this. I mean, let's really do something with this. Let's put some dollars behind it. We'll get a couple more writers, expand our cast, etc. And make a really good product that people will like and can relate to."
No, I love it. And I really just respect the diligence that you guys have, just moving the ball forward. That's how I mean, really,
right.
Just, okay. You just, there's a plan. Okay.
Yeah.
Step
We
one,
have
done. There's no like, sitting around like, what do you think we should? No, you guys are on it.
Yeah. I mean, look, the bottom line is, yeah, you write it, you get the funding, you produce it, you got it. Now what?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you need a plan. If not, what is this? Just a tax write-off or something?
Man, this is very, those who are viewing it, they won't know the menagerie of how this came about. So I got into acting on actually being seen, really. Now, growing up, I was into the arts from a viewer perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I got introduced to music. I got introduced to theater. My parents would take me to those things, but I was a gazer. I never saw myself that way. Like you hear some stories, "Oh, this is what I wanted to do." I wanted to be Luke Skywalker, and man, I didn't want to be no Luke Skywalker. Never. Did I enjoy watching him? Absolutely. But I never thought I was a very realistic child. I dealt in reality based on circumstances. I didn't have the liberty, to imagine like that. My life got real quick.
Yeah.
So I was in a Blockbuster video. Y'all remember that? And so a director was in there and saw me. And I was so disenchanted with that thing from when he approached me with, you've got a certain whatever. I was like, yeah, thanks.
Which one was you at?
The Blockbuster on Camelback and like, what was it, 7th Street. It's no longer there. Well, no Blockbuster.
This is in Arizona?
This is in Arizona,
Okay.
Phoenix, Arizona.
So for y'all that don't know what Blockbuster Video is.
It's been a while, but VHS, that's
You
where you
would
got your
go
movies.
with your
This streaming
VHS.
stuff right now, it wasn't happening. So I was renting Schindler's List. And for those who remember, it had a 2-video cassette. It was a long movie.
Great movie.
Great movie. Liam Neeson, shout out. But I could not complete it. It was so long that I had to, you had a time frame by which you had the cassettes. I had to take it back because I was going to get charged. But I didn't see the second, set. Renting it again, trying to see the second set. And this dude was following me around the store. I mean, I'm like, hey, man, them gangster-like tendencies. I'm like, hey, I notice him and, you pull a little video out and he on the other aisle, I see his face. I'm push it back like, what the heck? Go to another aisle then and he right next to me. And I'm like, if I'm out of here. I put the videos back. I was in line to leave and he cut the line right in front of me and he turned and faced me. So he closed the space. And I have an intimate space bubble, man, that's about arm's length. So he was way inside my intimate space bubble. So I'm like, I'm getting vexed. And so I leave. I drop the videos in the basket. I'm out. He waiting for me at the door. I was like, hey, man, move. He was like, oh, no, wait. He hit his spiel. I listened. I didn't believe him. I said, nah, man, not interested. He danced with me. So I moved to the right. He moved to his left to block me. So I'm becoming more and more vexed. And I'm thinking, man, this is about to go down in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, south side of Chicago, any moment. But Phoenix, I never would have thought this would happen.
At a Blockbuster.
But it's about to go down. And so he jumps in front of me, and I'm telling you, I said, hey, man, I'm going to move this way. Don't move with me again. That's what I told him. And then 2 people who were with him came up, and they said, hey, we were looking at you too. We just didn't have the courage to come say anything to you. So what they were doing, they were scouting for a play. And they said that they had people to audition, but they were having problems with literacy. Like you may have a look, but they couldn't read a script. And because I come from a very serious educator, although not there, I was like, man, if my dad was right here right now and he saw me, an opportunity for me to represent, and I didn't do it, shame on me. So I was like, man, what I got to do? Get to the short of it, I read for him. Well, I read for a director, Douglas Adam Mann. He's died since, but I read because I can read. I didn't feel I could act at all. I mean, at all, but I could read. He asked me to be very angry. I did what I thought was anger. And man, he was looking at me like, well, give it more anger. I gave what I thought was more anger. He was like, He was like, well, get upset. Like you're going to tear this place up. You're a big fella. Tear this place up. I did what I thought was more anger. He was like, oh, stop. And I'm thinking in my head, I suck, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. I gave it a good try. I'm out. Man, I get home and my phone is blowing off the hook. I could hear it from outside when I've got my key in the door. First thing, the guy who the actor was a director, shout out to David Hempfield for the Black Theater Troupe, Phoenix, Arizona. Mm-hmm. He said, man, he loved you. I was bedazzled. I was like, he what? He was like, he loved you. He was like, he wants to offer you the role. Get to the short of it, I was with Juilliard, cats who've been acting for years, and then I'm a novice that just got picked up from a Blockbuster Video. So I'm like, well, I'm competitive because I was more of an athlete than an actor. So I'm like, well, I ain't gonna be, last man out. So dude, I came to the table read. I had memorized everything, the whole book. I knew everybody's role. So we just like reading. I got my script out, but I'm not looking at it. I'm just looking at everybody. Dudes get stuck on a word, I would tell them what they were. So the director says, hold up a minute. He said, are you off book? I'm like, what is off book? I didn't know terminology. I knew nothing. I was like, off book. I was like, nah. He was like, okay. So we starting again. And he notices I'm reading, but I'm not looking at the book. I'm just saying my lines. He's like, you are off book. I was like, what's off book? He's like, you know this script? I was like, yeah. I was thinking everybody had to. I had memorized the whole play, man. Everybody's role, everything, which is good. When you're an actor, you know, man, if you that early on and you that off book, but that was how committed I was to not sucking. I wasn't really into acting. I just didn't want to suck. But one thing came to another, man. I got nominated for what they call Arizonis and been acting ever since. And so that was something that was introduced to the family on accident by me. I wasn't trying. I wasn't scouting for this. I didn't go to school for this. And so, you know, they would see me in stuff. And then he was a writer. And yeah, that's how organically, I'm just saying organically how this happened. You know, so you got a writer in the family. We all creatives.
Yeah.
And then you got an actor in the family. And so I would be reading, you know, some of his writing. I was like, hey, man, this ain't half bad. You know, and we don't blow train smoke in front of each other. You know, if it sucks, they're like, what? Get that crap. You know, so I was like, this ain't half bad. You know, this can happen. And so, you know, relationships were forged in different places. And it's here. It's here.
Now it's even more incredible.
Yeah, that's funny.
Now that I hear that end of it.
Yeah, man, it's funny too because, you know, I check out some of this shit, man. I say, you know what, man, one of these days we're going to do something. We're going to do something together. I had no idea, but yeah, here it is now. We've done it twice, man.
Yeah.
It's only getting started.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who knows where it's going to go. You know, who knows? But yeah, we said one day we gonna be on screen and have to, you know, go back and forth, man. It's a little surreal, to be honest with
And
you.
that's what I was trying to extol for the viewers, that is how this happened. It's not embellished. It was straight organic. It was straight organic. I'm not trying to say, hey, pursue your dreams. And that's not what I'm saying. It's just work on yourself. Always endeavor to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
And recognize an opportunity. Because that's another thing, man. You know, AJ Washington. You remember him?
Yes.
AJ and Edwina.
Yeah.
You know, I remember I was standing out in front of my pop's crib with AJ Washington, man. And, you know, AJ said, man, I could use a taste. And I said, hey, man, I actually got something in the car. And so I had some scotch, 12-year-old scotch. And I said, well, all right, man, you know. So I'm pouring it. And he said, you know, let me tell you something, Christon. He said, you're doing good, but, you know, everybody gets about 4 good licks in their life. If you're lucky 5, you'll get 4 good licks. Now, do you know what I mean when I say lick?
Opportunity.
Yeah, you know, it's like, man, this is, or you'll come up. You get about 4 in your lifetime. If you're lucky 5, you should always recognize when you got one. I never forgot that, man. Never. Shout out to AJ and his, you know, he's passed, but the Washington family, man, because I was like, man, yeah, you. So when opportunities have come, I've always tried to have a particular state of mind to have foresight and build with that to say, man, what could this be? You know, you don't initially know. I mean, you know, unless you like win the fucking lottery or something like that. Well, then, yeah, well, you know. But I met this guy. What did he say? I met this lady. What happened? Well, they want to know about X, Y, and Z. For example, I'm gonna say something. You know, I write children's books, as you know, and I'm at a cigar lounge. And I met somebody who has a very high position somewhere here in the valley. And I said, what'd you say you do? Oh, I'm the executive director, X, Y, and Z. I said, huh. All right. I said, you come here often? Yeah, I like to get out. Saw him again. I said, hey, remember his name? Hey, man, I got something you might be interested in. He said, what's that? I said, man, well, I write children's books. He said, what? I said, I'll tell you what, give me your card. I'll bring you a signed copy. I said, I got an idea that I want to do with these books. He said, well, give him my secretary, bring me a proposal. Brought him the proposal, saw it. He said, man, I love it. Put together an itemized. I'm not going to give any of it away because we haven't had this second meeting yet, but my point is that I heard what he did. What did he do? Huh? Bingo. Let me see. Recognize the opportunity. Recognize the opportunity. Man, if we could make this happen, it'll be a first in Las Vegas. It'll be a first in Las Vegas. And I'm excited about it. I got some good people I'm working with to make this happen. But again, you could have been like, oh yeah, that's cool, man. But he said who he is and his position over what he's doing, etc. And bing, huh? Really?
It reminds me, we heard this last night. Know the ask. So I think that works perfectly for your opportunity, meaning if you do get that opportunity, do you even know what you're going to ask for? Because some people may get those opportunities.
Right.
Oh, you're so-and-so, but what do I do? But it sounds like you knew what to do with, what you were bringing to the table with it.
Well, yeah. And that goes back to what he was saying is we were working on something to have something. It's what are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, you could be in front of who knows, and they could say, hey, yeah, man, I like you. Well, what do you do? Well, what can you do? And it ain't, well, whatever you need me to do. No. What do you do?
that underscores, this stuff comes full circle because it underscores me being in a blockbuster video, with no acting experience, no desire to act, but somebody saw something. And all he said was, man, can you read? Now, I was an avid reader, still am. So the right place at the right time, but being prepared. And that's why I'm gonna tell you something. I told my sons this, and not a lot of people know it about me, is when I found myself orphaned in some very difficult circumstances, environmentally and emotionally, mentally, everything, spiritually, physically. I didn't know if I was gonna make it, because I had a lot of anxiety. I was very stressed, and I was afraid because so much trauma and tragedy had happened all at once. I needed some grounding, and my brother is only 2 years older than me, and I got two siblings. They're going through the same thing. And I don't know why this happened, but it was so life-saving for me because my role models had gone. I picked 5 people to emulate. I said, I ain't gonna be no statistic. And this is like 14 years old, I said this. And I picked 5 people, 3 real, 2 fictitious. I picked Sherlock Holmes, Bruce Wayne, Batman, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, and Jesus Christ. And I picked them. This wasn't like I just sat down in 2 minutes. This was over a period of time. I picked Sherlock Holmes because I love the way he missed nothing. He walked into a room. He assessed how old you were. He knew how tall you were. He saw the shoes you had on. He missed nothing. He was able to assess information from information not necessarily given.
Symbolic theory.
I picked Jesus Christ because he was a master with questions. He masterfully questioned. He extracted things from questions. He made people easy. He exposed lies, all with questions. I thought that was fascinating to me. Muhammad Ali, because I like the fact that he was young, he was handsome, and he was whipping ass. And that's what I wanted to be. In the environment that I was in, you had to throw hands. But I didn't want to be seen as that. I wanted to be gregarious and handsome. But when the time came, I wanted to be that dude. And Muhammad Ali was that dude for me. Malcolm X, and this is unique because he was charismatic, he was intelligent, and he was convicted. He was convicted of his beliefs. But when he found that there was error in his belief, he changed with the same conviction. I wanted that. I wanted to be a humble person that because I knew I didn't know a lot, but in the environment I was in, you had to perceive confidently. Like you're going to get what you see. But I didn't want to be fake. I wanted to really embody that. And I felt Malcolm X did that, but he did it through humility. And so I extracted that from him. Batman, because a lot of people in my family would they would call me that. He's mysterious, he moves differently, but it was really Bruce Wayne. Anybody knows the story of Bruce Wayne, he was a child who was orphaned and he was afraid. He fell into a pit, bats was all around him. He screamed out for his parents, they weren't there. So what did he do? He sat in the fear till it was no longer fearful. So that's what I felt I had to do. I couldn't run from my fear because it was all around me. So I sat in it until I was no longer afraid from the things that were happening to me. And so I used those 5 guides. And that's what people saw over the years was that development of that kid into that teenager to that 20-year-old. Made a lot of mistakes, but I did have a trajectory that took place outside of parenting. So I raised myself that way, but it was with those things. And so that's why I think Carl saw me like, man, this dude has a direction, because there was a lot of us. You got a lot of big family, but I always moved. He always saw me by myself moving. I think that resonated with him, because we were all being pushed in a certain direction. But not all of us felt like we wanted to go in that direction. And so I kind of separated from the pack, and they called me Batman because of that. But Batman is a loner. But it was really Bruce Wayne. It wasn't Batman. I ain't got no costume. I ain't jumping off no roofs. But I understood what Bruce Wayne had to do. And that's what produced, vengeance. He became Batman out of that. But
He used
I was
to call
more
me
Bruce
Crazy
Wayne.
Joe.
and I look at that and then to think to where we are now. I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy, but
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah, I agree, man. There's been some rough roads, man, but you have to, it tests your metal, man. It really does. Really does.
I always come up with these. Like I said, my mind's a dangerous place to be. I was thinking that humans are we seek comfort.
That's
if
true.
this seat is not correct, give me a pillow. They just need a little something. Humans innately seek comfort. But when it comes to spiritual, emotional, and mental growth, you cannot grow from a place of comfort. A human can only grow mentally and emotionally and spiritually through discomfort.
Yep.
So how does that work when you innately seek comfort naturally? But in order to grow, you have to be uncomfortable. Think about that.
You almost have to untrain yourself.
Well, not only
Retrain
that,
yourself.
not only that, you have to be able to accept that sometimes there's not an answer. Because what you're saying is part of the comfort comes from having an answer. Even if the answer is just completely ridiculous or asinine. But it's an answer. But sometimes we just don't know. I mean, think of the concepts that people have accepted and just run with. And now not only do they believe it, they tailor their life to it. And it's if you were to pull it apart and just write this on paper, hey, and show it to somebody, like, man, this is the dumbest thing I've seen. No, this is what people actually. Why? Because I need an answer, and that's part of that comfort that you were speaking about. You have to be able to say, we don't know.
And that would be uncomfortable for me, not knowing.
Sure.
I live my life wanting to know. And so if I don't know, I'm at unrest until I, get a satisfactory answer. But that's the uncomfortableness that I have allowed. I do not flee to comfort when I'm uncomfortable. I will, i.e. Bruce Wayne, I will sit in the discomfort until it's no longer, and that's how you grow. That's how you grow. You cannot get patience from being comfortable. It's not going to happen. You have to become uncomfortable or impatient. You have to deal with it in order to gain patience. Not a, no monk. But when you think about that, when you think about what you've overcome, you overcome through discomfort. And comfortability, you wouldn't get up, And society now has become very comfortable.
Oh.
Matter of fact, they're designing comfort. Where's the growth going to come from?
Can't get a girl, get a silicone doll.
We were talking before you came in about the AI dating now.
Oh,
you can create an AI
Jesus.
girlfriend or boyfriend, and
you don't have to leave your couch, man.
Yeah.
Fat slob.
That's awful.
But unless a person does this themselves, like almost put themselves in a uncomfortable, and I would never advise that, because the comfortable, look, if it doesn't taste right, make it taste right.
Wait. Well, I mean, that's just, but that's just the facts of life, man. Man, where was he? I think I was coming through the airport.
The facts of life are changing.
No, but because we was coming through the airport or something, man, and there was a child and such. I said, well, gonna learn today. Life ain't fair.
But yeah, but people,
I got chastised for that a little bit. But hey, man,
you're going to continue to get chastised,
right? So
because
I said,
everyone is seeking comfort.
I said, better to learn it now.
So wait, what exactly happened?
I think we were going through the airport and some shit, and the child was So we were going through TSA, and there was this little foamy bat and ball that they got from Disneyland or some shit like that. And it was in the trash, and it was in the case, brand new. And so we said, well, man, why would you have to throw that away? Because Diamondbacks. But it had a particular character on it. So it was a nice little thing. And so I said, well, why would you have to throw that away? She said, well, no, it's a bat. You can't bring anything that resembles a weapon onto the airplane. And I said, well, hey, kid, learn life ain't fair today.
But he was crying. And
that's what the conversation was like. Oh, man, I bet you this kid he was crying and etc. Oh, I couldn't bring the bed. Hey, motherfucker, life ain't fair. You learned it today. Back to my point. So, it ain't, yeah, you're gonna have to learn it. Sooner the better. Because it ain't gonna get no easier, baby. What?
You say it's not going to get any easier.
Something's coming. Here we go.
And I think that's the direction that society is trying to turn us into. Is get easier,
dude.
Look, it's.
Wait a minute. You're saying the ability to accept it is going to be easier, or the overall situation is going to be easier?
Yeah, well, and so we got to go into another box.
Right. So what do you,
Because they're dumbing you down.
well, yeah.
And so the belief when you're your sensory synapses aren't firing. You like you were saying about the dolls. You don't have to step your game up. You don't have to be interesting. You don't have to dress nice, smell nice.
Right, but
dude, just order
eventually
that.
you will have to. And then you're
Not
going
the-
to, well, yeah.
Not in the direction that things are going.
No, but I know, man. But, eventually you will have to interact with a human being.
Ooh, and that's what I'm telling you. The direction is that no, you don't. You're working from home now, dude. You on a screen
Right, but
with
you
a Zoom
still
meeting.
have to communicate with your colleague.
No, you don't have to.
So if we have a Zoom meeting, you do have to communicate with your colleague.
Well, you don't have to Zoom. You can email.
No, at this stage in the game, you do. Hold on. Things
I'm
are
saying is
progressing
that
in a
they're
particular
progress-
way.
So that
Of course.
the interpersonal skill sets that were developed through an interview where you had to be in front of somebody, you had to present.
Right.
You had to come off the page from your resume. All of those things are leaving. It's like the big fat rotund dude who's good at video games, who he still want a little ooh la la.
But you know what?
He don't. He can order that. He can order a doll.
Ooh la la.
If I can add on to what you're saying, I see where you're going, because even just using AI as an example, there's people you can now, because it's happened to me, not even coming up to people person to person. All right, you can message people online. Now people have AI scanning people's accounts. Like, say they see I'm a podcaster.
Right.
They'll see I'm a podcaster and automatically send me this automated message that isn't even really them.
Right.
And saying, hey, I'm so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. But then I find out, like, oh, wait, they didn't even send that. That was.
Can you get a live person?
So people are getting to a point, they're not even going to be able to text back and forth, because I'll just have AI write my messages.
You're talking about that's what I'm
So
saying.
I see the direction. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I get it. I
I get where both of you are. Yeah. So it's.
And
I don't agree with it. I don't.
Yeah, I know that.
But I'm just saying, for growth, you have to have discomfort.
Sure.
But society is moving to make everything comfortable. Where is the growth going to come from?
I agree with that 100%.
That's why you got little kids right now who can't talk. They can't interchange. You ask their name and they're, but they can text you.
Yeah.
They're comfortable texting. That's what I'm talking about. Where's the growth going to come from when everything's comfortable? And I think that is by design.
Oh, sure.
Oh, now we get into the.
Artificial intelligence, Sam, you and I have talked about this many, many times on the telephone. It's going to be a bumpy road to 2030. And God help us when we arrive. Because,
What's the bumps? When AI is meant to make our life easier.
No. The bumps are people. Resistance, ignorance, arrogance, entitlement, etc. When we're saying a doctor's not a doctor, No, that's
My
real,
truth.
man.
Oh, no. I'm laughing because it's resonant. My truth. Have you heard that term?
Yeah. I mean, what that
Since
one
when
bitch
did you
say?
own truth? But people are believing this.
Alternative facts. Say, hold on. Well, it's either a fact or it's not.
People say when I did my research, but that is just
that's
a few hours on YouTube.
Shit. Motherfucker, you be doing good if they did that shit. They read 2 paragraphs on Google. Now all of a sudden, they're a geopolitical expert.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. It's crazy. But that's where we're going. And then, oh yeah, I read that. Oh wow, yeah. And all you have to do is articulate and kind of speak slowly. Or speak loud, be bombastic. And that's the guy.
Convincing. Kanye says something that was quite profound. And I ain't on his bag, but I'm a truth seeker.
Not no more.
Never.
First
But
two albums, yeah, we was down with them, but
whether he's a genius or not, I would say yes.
Artistic genius for
I would
sure.
say absolutely that he is, but he said something outside of the realms of music. And so, it's one of them things, brother done said something there. That's when he said it. That's what happened to me. It gave me pause. He said that when the lie is all that's known, the truth is inconceivable. And I quote, ponder that. When the lie is all that's known, the truth is inconceivable. And I feel we're getting an influx of lies. The truth is in there, but you never see it. So I ask the public, how do you extract the truth? Because you're not given the truth. You're given a version of it. You're giving the truth with a whole lot of lies with it so that you never see it. Remember on the bus, man, the 95 or the 34 Michigan, dude, cats me on there with their little shells. That's
game,
life
yeah.
now. That used to be
Card
an
game,
episode. We saw it every day. We knew what it was, a hustle. Sometimes we give them 5 to see if we can beat them or not. But for the most part, man, that's a hustle. Life has now become a hustle where they're giving you a bunch of shells. The truth is in there, but they're moving so fast with these lies. How are you going to extract the truth? I ask you, how do you extract the truth today? Because you have to have some type of individual mechanism to use.
Well, again, it goes back to humility, because I like this quote. It's easier to fool someone than convince them they've been fooled. And so you have to stop and say, hey, wait a minute. And one of the things that you've been saying that I've adopted, and do you believe it because it's true, or is it true because you believe it? What is it? Set your bias aside and do some real fucking research. This ain't decoration. This is research. Really? Let me check that out. Let me see. Let me get some perspective on this. It ain't no Google article, baby.
Where is this from? Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him?
Is that a movie?
He don't know.
You don't know who that is? You know who?
How old are you, Sam?
37.
Nah, he don't.
Oh, yeah, you might have missed that.
No, yeah.
That's Obi-Wan Kenobi, Jedi Master.
Oh, man, I should have known that.
You should have known that.
Was that?
But it's the principle. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's
look.
a deep question, man. I mean, we saw it in
Real
cinema.
deep.
He told Han Solo, Han said, I knew you were going to say that, you old fool. And he told him, who's the more foolish? The fool? Because he was following.
Yeah.
Ask yourself that question, especially nowadays. I have used 3 cadences to extract the truth. The truth has 3 things that are associated with it. The truth hurts. The truth has a ring to it. And the truth will set you free. That is what I have used to extract the truth amongst all these lies. Did it hurt me? Now that's the humility.
Mm-hmm.
Because when the truth hits you and it hurts, it's more than likely it's true. Or when information is given to you and it hurts, it's more than likely true. More than likely. The truth has a ring to it. So you don't necessarily have proof, but man, everything about it just sounds right to the point you it's ringing. More than likely that's true. And then the truth sets you free. You may believe something like you and I talked about. We inherit our beliefs.
Yep.
We inherit them. They're not necessarily true.
Yeah.
We just, man, we're following our parents or whatever we've been told.
I
If you
was
don't
born
stop
in
and
this
question
region.
it, yes.
This is what I got.
We inherit
my parents was
belief.
Catholic. My grandmother was Catholic. My grandfather was a cop. My dad was a cop. Yeah. Your influence is going to tailor the direction of your life by and large.
The truth sets you free, meaning you may be carrying an inherited belief that it never was the truth, and it could be generational. But the truth sets you free. And so the truth, when acquired, does have a freeing effect, even if it hurts.
Yeah.
People holding on to secrets, it may be ugly, it may hurt, but man, you feel better afterwards. I think everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Not everybody has the courage, but everybody knows the truth will set you free.
Well, and I love how you broke that down. And like when you think about, it's even more difficult now because we have so many sources of information, or whatever you want to call it. So many, these phones, these screens,
Right.
these so many. When you're saying the foolish line from Obi-Wan Kenobi, everyone's it's a gift and a curse. Like everyone can go out there and do their thing, but everyone can go out there and do their thing for better or for worse. And you got, who's the truth and who's not.
But Sam, that goes back to who you are as a person. People watch the news for two reasons. One or two reasons. Information or confirmation. That's it. Are you really trying to get to the bottom line of something so that you can make an intelligent, informed, accurate decision? Or are you saying, yeah, man, I knew it? So it depends on your motive and, really what you're trying to do. Because the information is there. It truly, truly is there. We are at our zenith in information. I mean, shit, we got more information than we know what to do with.
I'm overwhelmed.
And we got some of the biggest dummies walking around saying the dumbest shit.
Comfort.
That is right.
Thinking is difficult. That's why most people judge.
Carl Jung. Carl Jung. Cheers to Carl.
There's going to be so many great clips clipped out of this episode.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, it's wild. It's wild. Sometimes I just, what the hell did you say to me, man?
Hey, so check this out. I got this crazy theory.
Oh, let's hear
What's
it.
that?
I've tested it on a certain people.
You tested on me?
Well, allow me, and then you can tell me if
right.
this sounds familiar.
All right.
There are three tiers to crazy. In all of society, no matter what region, we can go to any continent.
Yeah.
We're all in it.
This is wild.
The three tiers to crazy. You're in it. He's in it. I'm in it. Everyone you meet is in one of these three tiers. He's in it. It's manageable crazy, medicated crazy, and committed. Everybody you run into on a day is in one of those three tiers. Let me break it down for you. The manageable crazies are those individuals that have a thought that, if enacted, would be considered crazy. Give you an example. You're driving down the street, somebody cuts you off. You yell, man, I'm gonna put my foot so far down your throat, my foot gonna come out the back of your head. That's crazy. And you had that thought, but you managed it. You did not proceed to attempt to enact that. That's the first tier. A person who has the thought, it comes to mind, but they reel it in, they manage it. That's one form of crazy. The second form is the medicated crazies. Now, the medicated crazies are those individuals that have some substance or thing that assist in managing their crazy, i.e., alcohol, sex, texting, watching TV, exercise, reading, meditation, beer, you have it. And everybody knows somebody like that if they're not that themselves. How many people have you run into and they'll tell you, hey, man, I ain't had my coffee yet?
Yeah.
You with me?
It's a drug.
That's
yes,
medication.
Absolutely.
That's medicating their crazy. Because if they don't get that coffee in them, they can't function. They snapping, biting, yelling, headache. I'm not saying that a medicated crazy is a bad person. Because if that medication allows you to manage so that you can move through life as a productive member of society, then by all means. The third tier is the committeds, the schizophrenics, the bipolars, the anxiety disorders. These individuals are a danger to themselves and others if not medicated or removed from society. Every single person you run into is in one of those three tiers. Every one. And so I've used that to assess my interactions. Am I dealing with a manageable crazy, medicated crazy, or committed? The committed are a little easier to determine, but the medicateds are not. You don't know what their medication is. And that's, I think, in this country, that's the broadest demographic of those three. Most are medicated crazy. But you don't know what their medication is. And that is the danger. Is because when you're dealing with that person and you kicking your best adjectives, it ain't working. Could it be they haven't had their medicine? I know with me, I've assessed that I'm on the cusp of manageable and medicated. Meaning if I don't get exercise, I'm a little testy. I'll get at you. And I'll have to, manage it to recognize, dude, man, you need to get in the gym, man. You need to move your body to get that out of you so that I can manage it. That's a self-assessment. I need to publish that.
If your theory is true, which I'm heavily leaning towards it is, do you know how fucked up we are?
Yes. Yes.
Because think about the people you actually interact with in a day. I'm talking about dry cleaners, grocery stores, parking lots. Oh, yeah, come on out. No, I want to, it just prepare for the apocalypse.
The revolution will not be televised, but these things are happening.
Welcome to Thunderdome.
Look, use that.
Fuck?
I just gave the viewer a gem.
Wait a minute, man.
I just gave the viewer a gem right there.
Well, see, that goes into, I think there's also another type of crazy. I mean, I think you could probably add maybe two more categories for that.
What's up?
You could have delusional crazy.
Well, that goes into committed to me.
Well, no. These people are so fucked up and gone that they have absolutely no idea and everything is fine. You ever see a motherfucker that's always smiling?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, hey, man, that's concerning.
Indeed. What you smiling about?
Help me understand what the fuck you're doing to be smiling all the goddamn time.
Maybe
Because at this point, it's like, hey.
Don't make no sudden moves.
Hey, man.
or why ain't you smiling today?
Right. And then it's Casey, why you always? I was like, no. I'm serious. Because I ain't going to be putting up with nobody's bullshit, man. I'm not. When, I walk in, I see, hey, how you doing? Serious, man. You ain't going to say, oh, I can get this cat or this dude's a clown, etc. Whatever you want to say, I'm going to walk in, you're going to see my presence and know this is A, a grown-ass man, and B, this guy's serious. That's how I carry myself. So you see this cat smiling all the time. It's like, hey, wait a minute, man.
Yeah, something ain't right. Ain't nothing wrong.
There's got to be something that can cause you to kind of straight face, but smiling. You're batshit crazy.
He's just a really happy person. No?
Batshit crazy, dog. And then they gonna hit you with, no, I don't drink.
So what are the other two?
No, you crazy.
so if you're gonna put delusional crazy outside of the committeds, what are the other ones?
So let's go through them again.
The manageable,
medicated,
committed,
as in hospitalized,
or diagnosed.
Diagnosed.
Those are the committeds, meaning everyone knows they got a problem, so you can act accordingly.
So what wouldn't diagnosed go with medicated?
No, not necessarily.
Because if you're diagnosed, more than likely you get medication.
That puts you in the committed category. The Medicaid, because look, if exercise is your medicine, you don't have to get a prescription for exercise.
Then you got the delusional,
mm-hmm.
And then you got straight up insane.
That's the committeds.
No. Those are the people. Those are the serial killers that haven't been caught. This motherfucker, you will see it on the news. He done killed 18 people.
Narcissist.
Shot, just
Well, I put all of them in the commitments.
maniac.
Meaning they got a diagnosed problem and they are a danger to themselves and others, and they need to be removed or at least controlled because they're a danger. I put them in the committed. So if you want to break down the committeds and what they are, sure, schizophrenics.
I think, you know what? That's a subset. Committed.
Yeah,
Do they
hyper
even
paranoid.
know, you got people like BTK killer.
Everybody you
Ted
run into.
Bundy.
You were just talking about this with the people who next door. You got a murderer next door who's smiling more on his grave. Hey, how's it going, KC? Good to see you. Great weather we're having. And he just got two dudes in his freezer.
Yeah.
What do you call him?
I call him a lunatic.
Committed.
Psychopath.
If people knew, he would be removed from society.
Hey, baby, that's why KC carries himself the way he carries himself. It's just like, what's up, man?
But that goes back to what I was saying about
man,
the ability
I'm
to
serious.
extract the truth.
I'm serious, dog. I'm straight. Nah, I don't want none of your brownies.
Find a way, man.
I think this is a great segue to talk about the question, Kwan, that we talked about on the phone with the DNA. Because now I think because that's no pun intended. That's crazy what you just broke down right there. Because you're right. Like it just has me think, like, what are we? Like, what is this? Like, what are we destined to fail? And when you look, and Casey and I, we talked about the book Sapiens before. It's like, you just look at history, and sure, our technology's increased like crazy, and we're solving some problems and whatnot. But us as humans, what makes us, everything is still there. Like the anger, the wanting to conquer, the war, so that, and you're going to word it way better than what I am right now. But like, I think around what we were talking about, like, is there just stuff ingrained in us that we can't take out, or are there behaviors we can learn to change? And I'll just start there, and I'll let you guys.
See, here's the problem again with this. We don't know. There is no silver bullet answer. How do we know? What do we know? Who knows what the hell we're doing? Man, so listen. Slight personal side note. I came from my auntie's service. And my uncle, gave the, discourse, etc. But those answers are so simple that he said why this is the way it is. And when you look at the totality of the universe, our size, where we are in our galaxy, our own Milky Way galaxy, it takes us 150,000 light years traveling at the speed of light, 186,000 miles a second. It's going to take you 150,000 years from to go east to west. And, you just give this simplistic explanation. It's just like, dude, that just don't make no sense. We don't know. We don't know. We may never know.
I'm going to know. I'm going to find out. You don't know now, but you going to find out. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. What we were talking about.
You know what song that is?
I don't.
This was the question.
What song was it? Now I have to know.
Oh, you got served, I just like that little jingle.
Yeah.
It just seemed appropriate right there.
Okay.
But
some black shit.
So what spawned this question, which segued into this theorization, I'm always in the lab, was I was dealing with a person that I have known for 3 decades. And I was getting the same old hat to the point, man, I was looking at him like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And it dawned on me, whoa, what is this person's ability to change? That's in that moment, in a heated moment, that's what I came to. Because I'm like, man, I've been through this with you. And maybe it's me. I need to manage my expectations. You giving the best you got. And that spawned this question. What is a person's ability to overcome and achieve? What carries more impetus, or what affects this more? A person's ability to overcome and achieve. Is it DNA and genetics, or is it environment?
You know, that's a really touchy thing, man. You know.
So, pondering that, like I said, I propose it to you because it's perplexing, because those two do have an effect. Man, your great-great-grandpappy, your great-grandpappy, your pappy, your father, now you, they were all alcoholics. And so you got that kidney, man, that wants a drink. That's DNA and genetics. What is that person's ability to overcome that when their genetics are predisposed to it? I'm not saying they can't, but they're behind the egg ball. And then that was the environment that they grew in. Liquor was around all the time, at the table, on the shelf, in the fridge. How are they going to overcome that? What is their ability when you just tell them, hey, man, you need to stop drinking? You know, let me take that another water. You know, that's what they look at you and do. What is their ability to change? But then let me add to it. There's another sibling who won't touch it. How can you explain that? It's got the same genetic disposition or not, but the same environment. And so that's what pondered when I was dealing with this difficult person, knowing their background. Like, man, they had a bad environment.
So when you say genetic disposition, what do you mean, though? Because everyone's a different individual.
Well, we inherit a great deal
Sure,
of
but
things.
but you can have two siblings.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was just saying.
One can be gay, one is not. Same both parents. So
Therein
there
lies
is
the
a
rub.
slight variation when we're talking about the individuality of people, even born to the same biological parents. So,
Yeah.
what caused Sam to be gay and Larry to not be gay?
Therein lies the rub.
I mean, we
And
don't
so-
know. You guys grew up in the same household, same environment, ate the same food, went to the same goddamn school, et cetera, et cetera. Why is one brother gay and the other one's not?
And this is what I've deduced. It's both of those are factors. Your genetic disposition, your environment, all have an effect in forming who you are.
Exactly.
But when it comes to your ability to overcome and achieve, it's effort. Has nothing to do with your genetic disposition. Now, those things may make it more difficult or easier, but it's action. It's what you do. That's why one can and one can't.
I agree.
Because
I did say Sam was gay. You're not gay.
I was going to
clear that up.
I'm sorry.
clear that up.
You
but I
did, I
didn't want to
was.
interrupt the thought.
It's just doing
I thought it was pretty funny.
I was going to lead you an opportunity.
No, wait a minute. It's just.
It was one of those of like, oh man, we're floating. I don't want to
You
mess
did
this
say
up.
we could edit things out.
Yeah,
so
no.
I wasn't too worried.
But the way he said it, like, because then he looked at me, and goes, "Yeah, you know, because two brothers and like people know." I was like, "Oh man, like I think that came off as a serious
Sorry
real life
about that.
example."
Yeah, no.
Nothing wrong with it, but no,
No,
he made that up, folks.
Yeah. It just was, Joe Blow, Joe Schmo, just Sam, Sam's
Thank you for
coming in.
coming in.
I was going to help you out, man.
I didn't want to disrupt
I was
you.
going to help you
No,
out.
I didn't mean. I'm sorry. I apologize.
But yeah, it's the effort.
Right.
It's the effort. Those are mitigating factors. And if those factors are bad, your environment, your DNA, you didn't come from the best stock, you can overcome that by your action. Now, granted, I'm not saying that that's easy. Matter of fact, that's very, very, very difficult.
Right.
But for those who are listening, I'm kicking some straight science right here. Those who have a propensity toward a thing, and they can trace this back to their ancestors, or those who did not have the best start, or the silver spoon, or the advantages, it's what you do. And that took me a while to learn that. That's not something that, I woke up with. It took a lot of trial and error. And it took that incident to me looking at a person that, God damn, what's wrong with you? You still doing this stuff? Man, I had to pause like, maybe they ain't got it. This is their echelon. They're not going to do anything else. And it has a lot to do with those comforts. Hear me out.
That's a hard pill to swallow.
It is a hard pill, but it has to do with those. If the person doesn't have whatever it requires, courage, humility, discipline, effort, work. If they don't have that,
now you're talking.
Because they're not going to.
Because it could be as simple as, dang, man, I hurt my lady's feelings. Now, you got one of three courses. Man, fuck her, man. She get over it. I am who I am. Or number two, dang,
genetics.
I did hurt her feelings. But I was right. But I did hurt her feelings. Or number
Pride.
three, I think we all know what number three is.
I don't know.
Say, you know what? Was it really that important? I
Humility.
hurt her feelings. I'm damaging my relationship. What is my point here? I think, we have the cognitive ability to look at that.
Do we?
What we have done, though, is painted ourselves, if you will, into a corner and said, well, I can't walk across the fucking paint. And so this is just where I'm at. And I have a theory that we talk about all the time, where a person decides, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. This is what I know, and this is what I'm good with. For example, very lightly, and I'm guilty of this, but it's rap music. I ain't listening to nothing past 2001 because these guys mumble. They, hey man, Wu-Tang Clan, Big L, Nas, early Jay-Z, Heavy D, that's what I listen to. KRS One, Boogie Down Production. This new stuff, they mumble. I don't understand what they're saying. So, my music cutoff is a certain date. So if you say, hey, Lil, no, I don't. Well, he's the number one artist in America. No idea. I don't know him because I'm not trying to get to know him because I don't listen to that. It doesn't make sense. No. You want to talk rap music? We talking Method Man. We talking Redman. We talking, Wu-Tang Clan. We talking Common. That's what we talking about. But that's where my point of focus is. And it ain't getting it. No, I don't care about these new guys because they ain't talking about shit unless you Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, or a couple other guys that can articulate, understand what they're saying, and they talking about something.
But you don't think that you're a product of your generation?
I'm a product of what I've become comfortable and acclimated to.
Comfortable.
So, right. But the comfort is, why should I have to strain and try to understand what this guy is saying? When I listen to Immortal Technique, I understand every syllable and every word that he's saying. And quite frankly, goddamn it, my hearing's going bad. So I'm not trying to.
But if you have a guy who is of this generation,
what?
And that's all they've been introduced to.
I understand that. So what? So then I'm thinking maybe we need to get together. Hey, listen to this. Notice how you understood every word he said.
Mm-hmm.
No problem. But I got to strain and ask for an interpreter to hear what little dummy said.
Man, there's so many going through my brain right now. It's, this is something for that generation that does understand. Well, they don't understand the mumble. They don't. But I've heard them say, well, it's the beat. But when you even look at their titles, it used to be in our day, the rappers were big. Biggie Smalls, Biggie, Big Pun. They were. Now everybody's little. Have you ever thought about that?
That's interesting.
That is true. You got Big L, Big Pun, Biggie Smalls.
Now everybody's
Heavy
little.
D.
What's up with that? You ever ponder that?
Who was the first, Lil Wayne? Or did he start that trend?
He's probably one of the original littles.
Probably was.
But when did they become little? Why?
Well, wait a minute.
I got
if we're
going
to do that, then
I got a hunch.
I believe you're right, but Lil Wayne is like fucking 5'3".
And he was like 13 when he came out too.
So he is.
Yeah.
He was. I mean, the moniker fit. He was little.
Bow Wow used to be Little Bow Wow when he came up, and I think he just switched it to Bow Wow.
Yeah.
When he
Is
was
he
older.
what, 50 years old now?
No, that motherfucker's probably
53?
Bow Wow.
I don't know.
Hell no, he's probably 32. He ain't older than me.
So,
Well,
I think there's something to that, though,
I just
in reference to what you're talking about.
What do you think it is?
It's a hunch. It's why the cadence of the music has, in my opinion, declined. It's to devalue it. I also heard someone say that follow the drugs, you can follow the rap. When in our age it was marijuana, so rappers was cool.
yeah, smoking weed. Yeah.
Rappers was cool. They had a flow to it. It was smooth. Cocaine, it got spastic. Follow the drugs, you can follow the music. And so now they got, I'm not a drug user, but they got that's where you slur your words, whether it's that syrup.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it sounds like. Follow the drugs, you can follow the
Yeah,
music. We was on weed, man. What's up, baby? That was our rap. That was Biggie.
Well, the whole point of this, of all of that, ultimately, is the assault on the Black community, and everyone's got their opinion on it. But when you look historically and factually, that's what it is. Because rap music was a source of consciousness to talk about the socioeconomic and ills in the community, and to give voice to it in an artistic way that people could say, yeah, man, yeah. Because everybody didn't read the newspaper. Fuck. Everybody couldn't read the newspaper, but they could hear Grandmaster Flash. Broken glass everywhere. Standing on a corner like, yeah. I don't need to read the newspaper. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Then it went to a pro-Black consciousness. But now corporations have got involved in it. I honestly believe there are other entities, federal, that have infiltrated it.
Absolutely.
That have
You dig
tailored a particular narrative, man. So it's been tainted. It's been tainted, and now it's affecting a whole nother generation.
adversely.
Yeah.
Lord help us all.
I when you're talking about the experience of different people in the United States of America, you need empathy, and you need grace, and you need education, and you need non-bias. if you really want to know, I mean, that's just the bottom line. If you just really want to know, and then you're going to have to ask yourself, what am I going to do with this information, with this knowledge that I have? I can't dismiss it because now I know it. What are you going to do with it? You know, how are you going to make your community better? How are you going to make your friendships better with your friends? Are you going to stand up for them? Are you going to say, no, you're wrong, etc.? And that's difficult. And as we were talking about earlier, that's, people don't like difficult.
It's uncomfortable, but it's the only way to grow. I'll pose this question. Why is racism still here? Everybody knows it's wrong. If you have the average person, they disapprove. If you were to go to the majority of Americans and ask them, is racism good for their family? Is it good for the country? Is it good for their job, school? 90% would say no, it's not. So why is it still here? I have a theory. And I'm going to use...
What do you think the answer is? Why is it still here?
I did watch the documentary you told me to watch.
We'll get into that, but what do you think the answer is?
Why is racism still here?
Because some people are still keeping it alive.
To you too. Why do you think it's still here?
Some people are still keeping it alive. And it only takes one to keep that pulse going. That's the short answer, I think.
What do you think? Why is it still here? Because most people will say, no, racism is wrong.
Right.
Unequivocally, across the board.
I think racism is a type of hatred. And so same reason any hatred still is going on. I think it's out of insecurity and unfamiliarity. So when you are feeling small, you attack other things that are outside of you. And that's kind of why we have in-group and out-group in psychology. So if you latch onto your in-group, and if the out-group is the enemy, something bad. And so I think it's just kind of a version of that.
But we're smarter than that now. We know what you said is true. Most people know that, though.
Right.
Most people know that. Merci. This is what I was thinking. And it goes into, it's broadening the comfortable and uncomfortable. And I'm going to use Germany as a counterintuitive because it's important. Nazi Germany, when you go to Germany now, in the homes that were inhabited by Jews, they have a bronze plaque with the name of that family, if inhabited by a German and not passed down by that family, that it was usurped. It was taken illegally. And that is Germany's way, just one, of acknowledging the past. When you come to America, they want to act like it didn't happen. They want to take it out of the history books. No one wants to talk about it. Why? Because it's uncomfortable on both sides. It's uncomfortable. But where does growth come from? Uncomfortableness. And so until this country decides to sit in that discomfort, which they will not do, it's going to be alive and kicking. America refuses to be uncomfortable with their history.
Well, exactly. That's what you see what's happening in Oklahoma and Florida, et cetera. They're just completely banning books, erasing history.
Yeah. History ain't here for you to erase.
Slavery. I would love to get all of those people and reenact the realities of that. And then say, hey,
they won't
so
say
what
they'll
good
leave.
Came out of it?
It's too uncomfortable.
The fact that you could even put your, and I say this loosely, brain in that space to say something good came out of it tells me one or two things. You don't want anybody to know, or number two, you're probably legally insane. how do you justify it? Well, we see it. That's what's happening now. You got to create an enemy.
You have to what? Say that again.
You have to create an enemy. And it's usually from a biblical standpoint, because that's the only way you could really justify it. Which is why they're trying to put the 10 Commandments in school, teach the Bible in Oklahoma, because you have to be able to justify your brutality. That's the only way you can really do it. You know, Quentin Tarantino made a film, Django Unchained. I don't know if you saw it.
Phenomenal movie.
But there were certain scenes where they were whipping someone who was enslaved, but they had scripture around their necks, biblical scripture. That's true. That's accurate. But that's how they justify was in the Bible, so it must be right. So,
What's in the Bible?
well, you know, in Exodus where they talk about slaves or those who are enslaved, indentured servants, etc. And so that's how they justified enslaving people from the transatlantic slave trade. You know, you could beat your slave, just don't kill them. Oh, okay. Well, ooh, that's a pretty broad stroke. But they would wear that around their neck so that the person that they were persecuting knew that, based on the indoctrination that they were trying to do with this person, no, this is divine. This is why I have the authority to do this. And so we're looking at a very slippery slope here, folks. This should be very concerning to any semi-independent minding thinking person.
Did you watch that documentary?
I did.
And so I'm curious.
So what we're talking about Stamped from the Beginning documentary that was on Netflix.
What say you? What was your feelings being?
Did you see it?
No.
Okay.
Heavy, first of all.
Did you feel it was true? Did you see it as factual? Or did you feel it was embellished?
It's actually a great question. Assuming what I was being told, back to truth, right? And it works on both sides.
Oh, yeah.
So it, based upon what they were telling me was factual, then yeah, it's insane.
But did you feel it was true? Because you have a different experience. And you know that they feed, I want you to take this. I don't want to take this over. But did you feel,
Right.
as Sam, that what they were telling you was the truth? Or were they exaggerating, embellishing? Just Sam the man, from his life, his perspective, was this true?
Overall, yes. I thought at the end it got really political.
Yeah, I thought so too.
They played off the whole, I mean, the whole MAGA Trump, sure, those people are there, right? But I just felt, I felt the 3/4 of it, like yes, 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 yes. But then I thought the last quarter of it, I don't know, it was a little shaky for me. I'm not saying none of it's not true.
I agree with you.
I'm just thought, as a film and a documentary, I thought it would have been.
They spun it at the end.
I'm like, they kind of lost some momentum at the end.
But they may have had to,
But I think they're
lighten
trying
it up.
Sure,
make it-
sure. Yeah, yeah. So
Because it is heavy.
You know, I
No, I want him to finish what he
go
thought.
ahead.
yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead.
And I guess what I'll bring to what you're saying, because I've actually, and lot of conversations I've had with KC, and he's given me books and opened up my mind to different perspectives. Like you said, what I learned in a small town, predominantly white town in the Midwest about, and this is how it probably is everywhere in the United States. Oh, slavery was bad. They lived outside in the cabin and once in a while they got whipped. But then Abraham Lincoln came and it was over. And that's pretty much the tale I was told. And then you learned a little bit about civil rights and going in through high school and all that. But then, I meet people like you, and I moved to bigger cities, and people from all around the world like, man, like, no, like that's the G version. There's an X-rated version that should be labeled beyond X of what actually happened, what was actually done to these people. And the reason why I answered what you said earlier, because some people keep it alive. I think it's partially that. And like what you said, I think you're spot on with the comfortability. Some people just don't want to see it. Like they don't want to see it. And they then, white people more than anybody, they just get, well, you're making me feel guilty for being white. But the reality of this country is it was found on bloodshed. First of all, with the Native Americans, that's first and foremost. Like that one gets swept under the rug a lot too. But then built with slavery. And it's just the beginning of that doc. I think to go back to the documentary, I thought the beginning was brilliant. I thought it was an artistic work of art, the way that they incorporated the graphics and painted those images of just that brutality of the Europeans going to those tribes and I really just sat there and tried to imagine, like, not just from some little middle school textbook, but I felt the gruesome and horrorness of what that was, what they were doing. Like,
Sure.
I'm getting messed up.
I'm going to say
Kudos to
what
you, Sam. You're a cold piece. You're a cold piece for that. Would you have watched that on your own, just flipping through channels, had it not been suggested by KC?
Probably not.
That's honest. And that's what I mean by the discomfort. And that's why I laced that in the beginning with you cannot grow unless you're uncomfortable. And this is conceptual, man. This is not taking a side. This is on all fronts. That's why I established it as a way of being as a person first. But then when you apply that way of being first as a person, then apply it to certain problems in society. That is an American problem that until we sit in the uncomfortableness of racism,
Right.
we will not grow from it. That's why it continues.
For example,
Don't want to be uncomfortable.
I'm going to say a word, give me a description. Holocaust. Give me a description. Holocaust.
Extermination.
Of who?
Jewish people.
Right. How many Holocausts have there been in the past 200 years? Why is that one coming directly to your mind? You know who King Leopold was?
I know
Belgium.
the name, but don't know much about it.
How many Africans did he kill and maim?
Dude was a devil.
20 million.
Million?
Yes.
20 million. Went to Congo. They colonized it. A small infraction would get your hand cut off. He's killed, raped, maimed, disemboweled 20 million people. Now, I'm not trying to minimize what happened. Germany, Auschwitz, of course not. But immediately when I say Holocaust, goes directly to that. So back to his point. Would you have watched that scrolling through and just say, oh, why not? It's not comfortable.
There's no growth. And that's why we're still here. We refuse to be uncomfortable.
That's why we still talking about this shit.
Yeah. But one of the beauties, but it's something that has to be, you got to go through the storm to get to the bison, buffaloes. Buffaloes, when a storm is coming, a storm front, they turn and head toward the storm. And that's instinctual for them because they recognize that deal with the difficulty because beyond the storm is the better weather. So they don't run from it. They turn. And I analyze this stuff, and although I'm not a buffalo, and they deal on instinct and I deal with intellect, there's something to learn from that.
Sure.
And that's what spawned you have to be uncomfortable. You have to allow yourself to be uncomfortable because that's the light afterwards. Like I said about patience, if you continue to find situations where you don't have to deal with impatience, you don't have to deal with the vexation associated with it, you're not going to learn patience.
Right.
But if you deal with that and you learn patience, you kicking it and somebody's making you sick, but you cold because you've learned patience. It's through discomfort that you learn that. And that is the amazing thing about humans.
Right.
Humans will not grow without discomfort. And so that's why, my opinion, why racism is still alive and kicking in America, because we refuse to grow. We refuse to be uncomfortable. And so therefore we stay where we are.
Yeah, well,
And that's why I said principally, this is a principle that I've applied to racism. It's principally universal.
Sure.
But if you take that principle and you apply it, it exposes why racism is still here.
Sure. I agree. And then it's...
What say you?
Go ahead.
Do you have a? I can.
No? Go ahead.
This is honestly just get your two's opinion or thought on this, because this is a thought I've had. You have these people in group, white people that like, well, it's not what they say it is, and no, statistics actually show it's black on black crime. You know what I mean? Like they come up with these things that
Love
make
it.
you.
I love it.
To make other people be
go
like,
ahead.
oh, okay, yeah, confirmation bias, right? Like, oh, okay, I knew I wasn't, racist or whatever. Everything's all right. This
That's
is
seeking
all,
comfort.
Right.
yeah, and like you were talking about truth, like what's
Confirmation
the truth,
bias.
what's not. But this is the question, and I thought about this since moving out west. Like a lot of the people I've met are not white. I just never really thought about it until I did. I'm like, oh wait, no, this person's from here, this person from there, and I thought about this concept. No matter what anyone says to me, and let's just say for argument's sake, maybe some of those statistics they say, maybe some of them were valid, or maybe they had a point to one of them. But my point back was, whether what you're saying or not is true, the psychological damage and what they're going through in their skin color is 110% real. When they get pulled over, it's different than when I get pulled over. As far as like psychological and trauma and shock, so I guess what I'm trying to say is like that's really has shifted I guess empathy might be the right word, of trying to understand further, because you have these people now more than ever, call it whatever you want, whatever political side, like, well, no, actually it's this. No, it's this. But I'm like, well, what's the truth? What's the reality? And the reality that I can at least see with people I know is someone of color in absolute tears and horror and shock of things that are going on. It's a real fear. You can see it. I'll never forget during the riots in LA, I had gone down
What year?
The George Floyd year. Yeah, great. Yeah, I guess there's been multiple. Was it 2020? Summer 2020?
So the social unrest.
I'll never forget this for the rest of my life. I was down there and there was a woman, black woman, who stopped traffic, but pretty much by herself. And it's like there were tons of people down there, and she was just screaming and chanting. I can't remember what it was, at the top of her lungs. And there were tears in her eyes. And I'm just like, oh my God, it was so real. So real. It was not an act. It wasn't fake. It wasn't for class. It was none of that. I'm like, she 128% whatever high number you could attest to that believes what she's saying and she feels it. And that was a moment for me. And I'm not even educated to even talk on this to a degree, but I just know whatever that is, that's real. That's real. That is a just cause. Regardless of what stats you want to throw at me, or you're just the media's you're just getting manipulated by the political system.
I agree with you 100%. It is real, and her pain is real, but the opposite is real too. It's just no way these motherfuckers is gonna give up their position. Do you honestly believe that white folks want equal justice under the law? If you do, you're out of your fucking mind. There's no way they want equal justice under the law, because that's exactly what it means, equal justice. This country was founded on inequality. They found a loophole. They took advantage of some people. They exploited them based on some knowledge that they had, persecuted them, stole, raped, etc. That's what this country is. Now, do I want to live somewhere else at this point in time? No. I haven't gone anywhere where I think that I would like to go. However, I do understand the power of the dollar. But my point is this, man. It's like, no. When they say the system's broken, you're wrong. The system is working exactly how it's supposed to work, and for whom it's supposed to work for.
That's uncomfortable.
Hey, you my man.
That's uncomfortable.
Sam.
That's what I said. You're a cold piece.
If we were to be pulled into an attorney's office and say, listen, I want you to sign this paper. And what this means is that you and KC are equal. Okay, yeah. Well, what does that mean? That means you're going to get stopped by the police as much as he's going to get stopped. That means you're going to be followed around the grocery store as much as he's going to be followed by the grocery store.
Or not. Or flip it.
Or you're going to be, so if we catch you with some weed, you're going to get 3.5 times harsher sentence than you would normally get if it was just you. Because that's what we give him, etc., etc. You going to sign that motherfucking paper?
I don't want to.
No, you're not.
The interview's over. No, I'm just playing. No, but that's my point.
Right, no, I get where yeah.
All y'all, I mean, everyone talks about black people having a race problem. No. It's not us. It's white folks.
But if you can control the narrative, and then you've got the dumbing down of society, then you can, you got people believing. This segment, because we covered a lot of topics, this is what, we cool as a fan. You're not White Sam or White Ed. You're Ed and Sam.
Yeah.
I'm KC.
Eric.
Eric. That's how it has to get. It has to get to the point where we're talking as people, not as race.
Right, exactly.
But you got to get past the discomfort to get there.
Right.
We will not go to the discomfort. And this portion, this segment is an illustration of what I feel is a healing. The fact that we can discuss this.
Right, exactly.
We can have this, I don't think it's uncomfortable for you all, but then we've known each other for a while. But it's most people can't have this conversation.
And I don't even know if anyone's ever posed that to you. If they were to sit you down and give you the list of now, no, itemize it. We're equal now. It feels good to say that.
I was going
It
to say,
feels good to say we're in the United States of America. Well, we don't do that. We're better than that. Are we really? Then why are we still having this problem?
we live in an age of virtue signaling.
What?
What'd
Yeah.
you
Why
call
do we
that?
still have this problem?
Virtue signaling where there's people who, I'm for the cause and this is what it is. But if you really,
It's like women. You want to be equal until it's time to be equal.
right, or even like
no.
people
I
that
mean,
are,
it is. You want to be equal until the check comes. Well, hey, wait a minute, baby. I thought we was equal.
So you got to change that tire.
Pick up that check. I thought we was. I mean, hey, you enjoy my company, right? I enjoyed yours. We're equal. Pick up the check.
I wanted to bring something up from the documentary before I forget it. That's a good.
Go ahead.
The most interesting takeaway for me, and this again, I watched it once. I'm sure if I watched it again, I
Yeah, because
could pick up more and more.
You need to watch it twice
Yeah.
because you're gonna miss some stuff.
Yeah. The most interesting part, and this is going to go to conversations we've had about, Fred Hampton. On the first podcast we ever did, you told me, you educated me, and like,
Well,
the real reason that, they wanted to get rid of Fred Hampton, because he wasn't just unifying black people. He was unifying
rebellion.
everybody. Martin Luther King, same thing, everybody. In the documentary, it talked about how the indentured servants
The Bacon
and the
Rebellion.
slaves,
Yes.
they were on the same playing field to a certain degree. Like they were in it together, right?
Bacon Rebellion.
But the second they go, hey, we got to give some of these poor white indentured service some money so they can feel a little bit. I like in the last podcast,
It's
cutting them off a couple slices. But once they got that, next thing you know,
it's the Bacon Rebellion.
the indentured servants, once they got a little bit, they started buying slaves.
Hey, wait a minute. Money.
So I thought
The answer to all of your questions is money. And that's what that was.
That's what that was. Like it's all the green. Like once those people got a little money and go, hey, you don't have to be with them anymore. You can actually own them now.
We'll give you 3/4 of a slice of bread.
Exactly.
They only get a quarter slice. But we're keeping the 19 slices and they thinking, oh, we're doing something, dumb bastard. Look at what's happening. But nobody wants to pull back. It's like, oh, I got a hit. Wow. Outrageous.
So I definitely need to watch it again. It's
You should watch it again.
Yeah.
I got the book right there. I'll let you use it.
Oh, so it was an actual book first.
Sure it is.
I didn't know that.
Can you hand me that book?
Check this out. This is we've danced with this. We've danced with this. But I think it's a universal question that everyone must ask themselves at some point in their life. Does truth need belief? What say you? Now, I've had the time to ponder this, so now I hit you. I'm shooting from the hip. Does truth need belief?
Just want to make sure I understand your correction. So you're saying for it to be true, do other people need to believe it?
Yeah, does it need to have belief
No.
in order
Do
for it to be true?
You.
Like if you told me this centerpiece here is red, and you go, yeah, it's red. Yeah, it's red. And I'm like, no, that's clear. I don't know, I might be totally butchering what you're asking, but to me,
There you are.
even if you guys were telling me that it was red, well, I don't care if you, but I believe that is clear. So that's true to me.
Oh, you're a truth.
But then again, but what if someone's colorblind?
So. Just, do you believe it because it's true, or is it true because you believe it?
I guess what is truth?
Well, what is truth?
Truth is finite.
The truth is fact, right?
So if 1 million people tell you, Sam, jump off this building, you can fly. a million people.
Believe it.
1 million. And they take you to the Empire State, Sears Tower in Chicago. You gonna jump?
The Sears Tower.
Sears Tower, not the Willis Tower, baby. Sears Tower, downtown Chicago. And 1 million. And you've counted them. Yeah, there's 1 million people saying, yes, if you jump off of this building, you can fly. Are you going to do it?
No,
Because
I don't have wings.
You don't believe it.
So what say you? Does truth need belief?
I would say, yeah, because if no one believes it, then it'd be lost, and it'd be lost.
What happens to Sam if 1 million people tell him he can fly and he jumps off that building?
He's gonna fall down and die.
So does it matter that 1 million people believe that he wouldn't?
So my answer is now no, now that I've thought it through.
You still going to hold to what you're saying?
I'd say it matters if Sam believes it.
It
what
don't
does
matter
it
if Sam
matter if
believed
he
it.
believed it.
If Sam believes he
Could
can
he
fly, and
fly?
he jumps off
Yeah, I
that
guess
And
building.
he could believe it all the way until
you're right.
he hit
Right, that's all right.
asphalt
And
on
so-
State Street.
Gotcha.
That took me on an intellectual loop, man. That was crazy.
Yeah,
But
no,
now I get.
it don't matter. I don't care
Truth
what
does
you
not need belief. Just let that simmer. Truth could care less if you believe it. It don't need you. Truth is finite. It's not subject to your feelings, your thoughts, your inheritance. Truth is finite. Truth does not need you to believe in it to be truth. The law of gravity. You jump off that building. You can have everybody in the world. Look, they used to say the earth was flat. There's still some people
Sure.
who do.
Believe it.
You were killed. If you said it, you were burned at the stake for heresy, hanged, tortured. Then we developed the ability to see outside our atmosphere, and the earth was indeed a sphere. All that time, did the earth care that everyone on
Did it
its
change shape?
yeah. Did it care that everybody had it wrong? I'm a sphere, not that it was a speaking entity, but it was truth that the earth was round. It was a sphere, even though everybody on it believed it was flat. And I understand why. When you look at the horizon,
fair.
it doesn't arc.
Yeah.
It looks like it goes in straight line. So I get why. But so that belief was formed based on that. But the truth did not care. You jump off this building, the law of gravity gonna get you. It does not care if you don't believe it. Truth does not need belief. Why do I say that? We have to search for the truth and then form our beliefs.
But then you can even go.
But that's not what we do.
If you got to believe it, you can't prove it.
Say that again?
Yeah.
If you got to believe it, you can't prove it.
Oh, yeah. Truth is substantial. You can substantiate truth.
Can you give an example of that?
Do you
Gravity.
do you believe we're sitting here right now?
Yes.
No, you don't. You know.
Oh.
We are sitting here right
gotcha.
now.
But you're able
Yeah.
to come to that conclusion
Believe in
when
Santa
you've
Claus.
established truth
The Easter Bunny.
and you formed your beliefs based on truth. Then you know.
So, for example, you go to a job interview. Sam, hey, we like you. It's great. We're going to call you back for the second interview. You get called back for the second interview. You do fantastic. You do better than the first. Sam, we're moving you to round 3. We want you to come back next Friday. You come back next Friday, suited, nice looking, shaved, everything. Answer the questions. Well, yeah, I'm a team player. I don't only jerk off in private. That dumb shit. You know what? Wow. We think you'd be a great addition to our team. You go home and you tell your girl, I believe I'm going to get this job. You believe it. I have faith I'm going to get this job. I believe it. Everything went great. Monday morning, you get an email. Sam, thank you for applying, but we're going with somebody else. So what did your belief get you? That you believe what you can't prove. Don't matter that you believed you was going to get that job. Don't matter how positive you felt. What did they say? No, we're going with somebody else. So you have to believe what you can't prove. Can you dig it?
Yeah, belief and knowing are two completely different things. I've never really thought of separating those before because we talk so much about the power of belief. Do you think it has its place? Do you think
because they fuse it and then they confuse people. I don't give a shit what you believe. Show me. If you got it, show me here. People say Moses split the Red Sea, biblical terms, and 3 million people walked across that with the most powerful army on the planet behind them, chasing them at a very prejudiced rate. This guy extended his rod, split the fourth largest sea on the planet, and 3 million people, women, cattle, wooden wheels, all walked through this. What in the name of physics makes you think that's possible? What has ever happened that anybody in the past 150 years can say that's possible? Yeah, that can happen. Nothing. But you will have grown, intelligent people say, Moses split the Red Sea. At its closest point is 55 miles. You're telling me 3 million people walk 55? Come on, man. Is it true because you believe it? Or do you believe it because it's true? Most of the time, it's true because you believe it. But you can't prove it. If you got to believe it, you can't prove it. I can reach out right now and touch you. I don't believe you're here. I know you're here. I know these people are here. I know this equipment is here. I don't need to believe that. But we've gotten so caught up in these ideological beliefs and these customs, etc., that, to quote Dr. Khalid Muhammad, and some of us, by the way we act, we even lost our mind. We've lost our minds. Because if a dude walked up to you on the street, hey man, I split the Red Sea. Hey man, I split Lake Michigan and I walked 3 million people across. Here's $2, man. Go get some coffee, dog. You okay? And then you on the phone like, hey, yeah, come and get this motherfucker right now. You want the white coast to come and pick him up. But because that was written, like, what are you talking about? Where have we lost our sense of not only common sense, but science? You telling me somebody split Lake Michigan in half? No. You wouldn't believe that for a second. You wouldn't. Or would you? Would you?
No.
Then why believe it happened 5,000 years ago?
So does belief have any place? Is there any benefit to belief? Or is it better just to know?
Listen, man, when you know, you know. I've had friends that I was running with for 20 years and found out they were pieces of fucking shit. But I believed he was my friend. I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire.
Why you had to say his name, man?
Man, fuck him, man. Fuck that motherfucker. Yeah, I said your name. Fuck you. I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire.
I got a question for you guys. Are you familiar with the double slit theory? It was a phenomenon basically where they found out, like, judging light rays, and it would act differently depending on how they were observing it. So basically what they're finding is, like, the way you observe something affects the way it actually behaves. I don't know, like, to me, like, I think that was a pretty interesting.
Who's they?
Anybody.
No. You said they figured out. Who's they?
It's some scientists. Like, I look it up, it's called the double slit theory. I think it happened within the last 20 years. And they found that, like, basically how they observed this light particle, it either acted like a light particle or it acted like a matter particle or something. It just behaved differently depending on how they observed it. It's pretty interesting. I was just curious if you had any familiarity with that.
So wait a minute. You're saying light was split.
It went through two, like, holes or two
Right.
like slits in, like, some sort of sheet.
But it was the same beam.
It was the same beam, and depending on which camera they had on observing it, it behaved differently.
How?
Beam.
How?
The beam. I can't explain.
Tell me
it.
how it behaved.
Like, one time it behaved as a light ray. I'm not too familiar with it. And one time it behaved like a particle or something. Like, it was in, like, two different. I'm butchering it here, but
So once it split, was the atmosphere the exact same?
I'm not
So
sure.
it split. So it went two different ways.
No, it went through two different slits, and, like, depending
So,
on
right. So
Yeah.
it split. So it was a Y. Like, it went straight and then it became a Y.
I think they're shooting at two, and it just had, like, two slots.
So
and it went through.
were the circumstances the same when it split?
Yeah, everything was the same except for they observed it one way with, like, one camera or technique, and then they observed it with another camera and technique, and it behaved differently.
Was it an equal split?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they had all the variables.
I mean, because the reality is when you're talking about light, etc., lasers, the micromillimeter can make a difference.
Absolutely.
So I would have to look at that study and read it to see what the results were, concept is, theory, etc.
Sure.
But you split it. So it had a particular width, correct?
See, I don't
Well,
know
wait a
that
minute,
much
wait a
about
minute,
it.
What's the name of it?
The double slit theory.
Right. So it was one width, and then it came to a point and separated. So it's no longer the same width, correct?
I'm not. I can't confirm.
So if you're going to cut something in half, I don't think you would still get the same embodiment from half of something. For example, I pour this glass of champagne. It's got the same amount of alcohol in it, etc. We drink it down. We fill it half with water. Does it have the same potency? Same champagne, but now we split it in half. Is that fair? Is that a fair comparison?
See, I don't think it is. Like, I think this is a very like specific. I know what you're saying with
Well,
that.
we split it. We cut it. So if you're talking about a ray that has been shot, maybe the split disrupted it, and maybe it wobbles a little bit.
Perhaps.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I got
either.
a definition here for the original double slit experiment performed in 1801 by Thomas Young at the Royal Institution showed that light acts as a wave. Further experiments,
wave.
however, showed that light actually behaves as both a wave and as particles, revealing its quantum nature.
Right. So it would move. It would move at the split. So if it's a wave, if you're shooting at, so think about a bullet. I shoot it out of my gun. Bam. It's going straight. And it hits a wedge and splits. You think it's still going to keep going straight? Or will it wobble? You have a disruptor.
Sure.
The wedge is the disruptor. So yeah, it will move differently. So you're going to get a different result. Don't mean it's not the same light beam, but it is moving differently, and things will now not be what it was when it was before it hit the wedge.
What was your thought to even?
Well, the reason I brought that up is because, and I'm definitely gonna have to do more research on it myself before I ever bring this up again. But just the hypothesis that the way you observe something actually affects the thing that you're observing is kind of what my understanding of it is.
For example,
For example, how you calculate what, or how you observe this wave.
No.
Or like,
give me a real life
so
example.
real life example is like, basically what I'm saying is that it could be some subjectivity to truth then.
Different people interpret things differently.
Absolutely.
So let me
That's
help you out
perception.
here. You're talking like a car accident. And there are people at different places that see certain
and
things.
perhaps they're remembering it slightly different. And I don't know, but then like, what is the truth there?
Is that theory of study and perception?
That's what I think it's more of like how perception actually can affect the thing that you're perceiving is kind of.
And that's just perception. Belief does not change truth. Now,
Right.
it may change what you feel is true, but what I'm trying to establish here at this pod and then those who are viewing it is that it doesn't change it. That's why he was saying, if you got 1 million people who say that Sam jumping off this building, Sam, you can fly, you can do it. Their perception may be that, man, Sam, you can do it. You can.
And he might even say,
To the point where,
Yeah.
look,
You know what,
so
I think I
let me
can,
add this to
goddammit.
it. Let me add this to it. And believe me, the evil of the world knows this, that if you can get everybody saying it, you can influence those who don't.
Right.
No one wants to stand alone. The truth magnificently can stand alone against the masses. But humans, on the other hand, who are inherently flawed, we want to bond. And so the belief does have power. That's what I'm trying to say. Belief does have power. Meaning if you've got a great influx of people who believe a thing, it will persuade you to, well, maybe this is true. So it does have power. But what I'm trying to say, truth is not subject to that power. It doesn't affect it. It affects us.
Right.
But it doesn't
go-
affect truth.
But man, you said a couple of things. We need to bond and truth. And in sociology, there's something called the wisdom of the crowd. You know what that is?
I can figure it out. But go on. I mean, it's almost self-explanatory is what I'm saying.
No, so for example, if you go to a state fair, everybody's been to a state fair at one point in their life.
Yeah.
Right. So they say there's a fucking bull standing there, and they say, "How much do you think this bull weighs?" And so everybody that walks by, well, they'll give a number. You got some dumbass, 200 pounds. Well, it's a fucking bull, grown ass bull. Then you got somebody that says this is, and they'll survey 1,000 people. Write it down. And they'll take those numbers and they'll calculate them. And they will get the average number. And that number is usually within a few 100 pounds of that actual bull. It's the wisdom of the crowd. Because eventually, enough of us will look at this and say, nah, well, I know the bull doesn't weigh 50 pounds. I don't think it weighs 5,000 pounds. 2,000 pounds? 1,800? 10,000 pounds? 20 pounds? You got some assholes, that are going to be assholes. But, my point is, but when they calculate the averages, and that's what is called faith in humanity. Because when you look at some stuff, you're banking on enough people saying, nah, I don't think that's right, man. It's the wisdom of the crowd. That's been scientifically done. And they've been within a few 100 pounds of the actual weight. And nobody knew the weight of this bull. And they've done it over and over again in multiple cities, total unrelated people. But they always come up with the answer to the actual weight on average when they calculate it is within 100 pounds or two. That's called the wisdom of the crowd. Because you're going to have some dummies, you're going to have some moderates, you're going to have some extremes. But when they come together, it's going to work. It works. Because this bull don't weigh 10,000 pounds, but it don't weigh 5 pounds either. You dig what I'm saying?
I can dig it. I just thought about something. This is for you, Sam. This term has been around a long time, but it now has it has more import or merit. An influencer. That's a term that's been around for a long time, but seldom used. No one said, "Well, I'm an influencer."
I'm gonna use the restroom.
No one said that. But now, when it comes to viability in the social media situation, you want to be an influencer. Why? Why would one want to be an influencer? But it pertains to what he was saying and what the belief. Because if you can influence a great amount of people, and then they classify Sam as an influencer now people want to get at you. Because you have the ability through your platform to influence people, which is control, which is power. And so what I'm saying is that be knowledgeable of that, but not at the expense of the truth. Am I making sense there?
Yeah.
Because if you're look, there are influences now that they want to get a hold of. I mean, if you can move people and you can control how they think and therefore control their belief, then they want to get at you. They want to get at you. And I'm sure I would strive for that. But to what degree?
And that also poses, I've heard this get thrown around, like when people say influencer, well, influence what? Like, that doesn't mean it's good. Like, it doesn't mean, like, I'll just use LA as an example. And no shade on any of it, but people that are quote unquote social media influencers, constant selfies, constant just coming up with dances, whatever, that brings some people joy, right? So I'm not raining on that. And they find ways to make money, get sponsorships. But is that changing the world in a positive way? I don't. It's interesting that the people that have the most to say and could have the best impact aren't the ones that get all the light. And that ties it into like what they get to choose, or when people get chosen, or what they want to shift everyone towards, like, hey, everyone pay attention to this over here. And it's just stupid. It's mindless. It's entertaining. Or what do they say back in the Roman days? Like that's why they had the gladiator events and things like that. It's just like sporting events of today. Hey, everyone's Super Bowl, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce. Everyone, did you hear what Taylor said about this? Meanwhile, whatever's happening in the background. So is there a Swiftie in the house?
I'm getting flipped off by somebody.
Okay.
I just find it interesting that term, albeit been around for a long time, is now something that, is being titled and mean. Like, the powers that be want all influencers. They want all influencers. Let me see. Do I want to say this? Yes.
They want your mind.
Yes,
man.
I do.
They want your mind.
They want control of all influencers.
They want your mind.
Because they want to control the influence so that they can control the belief. And that's okay. That's where we are. But if people have foundationally established that the truth doesn't need to believe, then that will scare the people who want to control the influencers. Because now you control your own mind. And they don't want you doing that. They don't want you thinking. It's like the Barbarians and the Body Snatchers. He's thinking. Get him. He's thinking. They don't want you thinking. They want to control your thoughts. And there's not much you can do about that. It's coming. It's here. It's coming, and it's going to increase. Hang on, 2 ticks. Because I feel once you establish that as a creed or a mantra, and you as an individual, that the truth doesn't need belief, and I know that. I know it. I don't believe it. I know it. That the truth doesn't need belief. You are better prepared to deal with what's coming, because it's coming. But if you establish truth doesn't need belief, you're more apt to weed out all that's, like you said, information. We're being bombarded. We're being overwhelmed with so-called truths. And that's why I asked earlier, what do you have in your repertoire which enables you to extract the truth? Because it's hidden. It's not meant for you. They're trying to control truth or the narrative.
The narrative.
And so that's why I said that. That's why I developed that. Because you got to find a way to do this, or else you're just going to be a goose stepper. You know what I mean by that?
Explain. I have an idea, but
you seen Nazi German soldiers? They just
North Korea.
They just goose stepping.
Okay.
Just goose stepping. They want everybody stepping to the same way.
Even if you stepping wrong, if everybody's doing it, you stepping right.
That's what they want. They want you goose stepping.
Who's they?
No, goose step.
I know, but who's they?
Same question I asked you. The they is the powers that seek to control all things. Now they've got proposed titles for this. I don't know. I don't know what the Illuminati is. I don't know. I just know there's an agenda, and you can't wield agenda without power.
Well, wait a minute. And we don't even have to go into a large conspiracy theory here. Look at Purdue Pharma, what they did about what they did with oxycodone and oxycontin. You could single out those individuals. They killed hundreds of thousands of people. They got millions of people addicted. They made billions of dollars. They didn't serve an ounce of jail time. They paid a fine, which was change compared to what they made. So narrow down what your scope is, because you can identify who the they is if you want, if you're brave, if you're brazen.
So there's a bunch of different days, it sounds like.
Sure. But they all work in concert.
I mean, a pharmaceutical, we know all of this. All right. Now, do we have a name? Then they don't want a name.
But some do.
What do they say?
Some do.
Not if they're deceiving. They don't want to be exposed.
Well,
what did they? What is the adage with the devil? The greatest
trick the devil ever played is to convince you he doesn't exist.
That there. So,
but at the same time, we're in a different day and age. You can really find a lot of shit
if you're brazen, if you're bold, if you're brave. But
and if you want,
let's just take pharmaceuticals.
So that was a good example. The Purdue Pharma.
Let's stay right there. Most people don't have the inside knowledge. They weren't at the boardroom. They weren't in the room when it happened, and so, but they're aware of what happened. You go to the doctor and you say, "Yo, I've got this rash." They give you a prescription to treat the rash. Are they treating why the rash happened? Did they run blood tests to see? And did they question you as regards what you've eaten, where you've been? What cologne have you wearing? What lotion? What soap? What detergent? No. They treat the symptoms. And so pharmaceutical companies, most people know this. Most people, you already know.
I agree with you,
You already
too.
know where I'm going.
Yeah.
So we do know. They're keeping you sick so that you come back. Because if they were to heal you, you would not return. And so there's no money in it.
I agree.
So when we say they, well, that is an agenda to keep you sick,
right?
So that we keep money.
But he's saying they, as in who is this?
The entity.
And I'm saying, well, in this particular case, it's these people, Purdue Pharma. Well, who owns that? These motherfuckers. Well,
most of us don't have access. Like I said, we're not in the room when that happened. We don't have access to names, and we've never seen or laid eyes on the individual. I think we have more access
than we think.
They're not trying to be exposed, dude. They're trying to. They hide behind fake titles, companies, corporations, entities. They hide behind that, disguised as legitimacy.
That's true. But,
and so they're not looking to be unveiled.
Are getting
it's getting exposed now.
That it's like, well, who the fuck is behind this shit?
But it's you know,
just like
look what's happening in hip hop.
I mean, that shit was just ridiculous.
Look what's happening in government. This stuff is it's coming out.
100,000 prescriptions in 6 months. What the fuck? And then you work backwards. Yeah, exactly. Hip hop, etc.
It's happening, but it's yeah. You got to search for truth. You got to search for truth, man.
And you got to be humble to say, yo, I may be wrong.
There's a scripture in the Bible. It says, broad and spacious is the road leading to destruction, and many are on it. Narrow and cramped is the road leading to life, and few are finding it. I used to think that said, and few are on it. It says few are finding it. The objective of the evil agenda, whatever that is, whoever it is that to keep you on the broad and spacious road. But I think most people have you say cognizance. They have the cognizance to assess the things that we're talking about in this room. I mean, it's a high intellect here.
Yeah.
But most people who listen to this, look, some of this stuff, whether they've fact checking it or whatever, it got the ring of truth.
Right.
Without going to their phone and saying, oh, did Kwane just say, I didn't already say it was my theories.
Right.
but it resonates. It has the ring of truth. So you don't necessarily need to fact check it. Your own conscious ability, your third eye, your perception, your intellect, your intuition, all of those things are components of the third eye. You know, a lot of people want to say, oh, you one of them spiritual people. You wanted, look, you working with it now. It's the mind's ability to assess and see that the eyes don't.
Right,
It's a feeling.
right,
you go into a room,
right.
man, something ain't right in here. That's the third eye. It's a symbolic term. It's a metaphor.
Sure.
Because you don't see visually with your brain. But the brain does have the ability to assess, and that's conscious. Women's intuition. All of those things are being numbed so that they don't work. I'm saying use that thing or it will atrophy. And they're coming after it. They're coming after it. So you have to use your third eye because they're deceiving the eyes. They're showing you what they want you. AI can do that. AI can show you a picture and you think it's a real person and a real incident. And that shark really jumped up out the water and ate that dude. Man, that looks so real.
Not only that, you got a dude that'll get on TV and say, I didn't say that. Yes, you did. We saw it. No, I didn't. No, he didn't say that. No, what he meant was, he's using basic English. I know what he said. I don't need this person to interpret it. Anyway, yeah.
What I'm trying to extol is that truth is going to get harder to acquire. And unless you cultivate and fortify the truth in you, use those perceptive powers, train them.
Right.
You in trouble. You're going to be a goose stepper. But you have built in you intellect, insight, conscience, intuition. Don't let it numb.
You know,
If it don't feel right, there's a reason. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but the fact that you came into a room and you ain't feel good when you went in there, there's a reason that you didn't. There's a reason. Now, I ain't saying go and judge it. It was I'm not saying that, but assess why. Because that's your third eye working. They want to numb that.
and he's spot on. It's getting harder and harder to exercise that.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting harder and harder to exercise that on purpose. And so what the goal is for you to just say fuck it.
Yep.
And when you look at the totality of life, not only in the United States of America, but across the board, you know, if you had went to people in Kiev, Ukraine, and say, hey, man, you think you're going to be in a war? I'm like, hell no, we ain't going to be in a war. But look at where they are. Look at where they are. And so, as he says, truth doesn't need belief, but you have to be aware. And it gets exhausting. It does. Which is why a lot of people just say, fuck it, man. Fuck it. I mean, you know, let the chips fall where they may.
It's easy. The broad and spacious.
But you
It's
get
more room
tired.
here. It's more comfortable.
But they want you to get tired. So the question is, how much fight do you have in you? Is it your environment, your DNA? What you gonna do? I know. I see you. But it's like, man, we can't. It is so. My employer, we had a conversation. I'm gonna leave you with this. And she said something to the effect of, when the going gets tough. I said, you know what? What I'm going to do is walk up to the edge of that cave. And I can't see in there, but I know what's in there. I think I know what's in there. I'm going to draw my sword and I'm running in. I ain't going out like that. I'm going to stop, take a deep breath, draw my sword, and I'm running in, because you ain't taking me. like that. Nah. I ain't going out like that, man.
I ain't going out like that.
And I know you gonna do the same thing too.
I done had dreams about it. I done had
And
dreams about it.
I just hope that I'm with you
You were.
when we are standing there and drawing our sword and running in that motherfucker together.
Lucid dreaming, perhaps
Straight up.
I had a lucid dream, man, and it put me in medieval times on the realms of like the movie Gladiator, Russell Crowe, and we were all in encampment. Horses were flying, soldiers were going past, and we were meeting an army. That we were on a precipice, and there was a big mountain, and then there was a plain or a field, and then there was a forest on the other side, and you were there.
Really?
Big tall trees. And so someone came to me and they said, General, it's time. I suited up, grabbed my sword, got on my horse. And when I got there, several members of my family, including were already on horseback on the hill. And we were overlooking the plain and the forest. And there were drums. Boom, boom, coming from the forest. And then we can be able to see, like, I don't know if you've seen King Kong, but before you saw him, you saw the trees shaking. It was that, because we were at a higher level. So the top of the forest was below us. So we can see, all we saw was the top of the trees and this drum. Boom, boom. And then this trees started to shake. So I'm thinking, man, they got something big. But we warriors, man. This is why we're here. So whatever they got, we're going to meet it. I looked to my left, and I remember I saw my son, my youngest son, and he kept looking at me. He kept looking at me. And then his brother was on the other side of my son, and his horse was rearing up. He's like, man, what's wrong with this horse? What's wrong with this horse? And then on the other side of me was my other brother, my older brother. He was resolute. And my oldest son, they were both resolute looking. And I remember I was looking at the forest, like, why are they just beating that drum? Them trees are shaking, but we should have seen them by now. And I assessed the intuition, the conscience. Like, why aren't they coming out of them trees? They were trying to create fear, and it was working. His brother, with that horse, kept rearing up because it was becoming fearful. My son was starting to doubt, like, what should we do? And I realized they're trying to create fear. Man, I put on my helmet. Yeah! I let my horse down, drew my sword, and I was coming to meet whatever they were bringing. And man, I felt a surge. We had all come down. Man, you can't be fearful. They are trying to create fear. We haven't touched upon that. But fear is a major component of the enemy because it freezes you. It creates doubt. It stops action. And when we were talking about how do you overcome and achieve, it's not based on your DNA and genetics. It's not based on your environment. It's what you do. If fear can stop you from moving, then that's the goal. You got to face fear, man. And these are difficult things. I'm not talking about them as though, just do this. No, this is, man, like we said, the uncomfortable, that's hard.
Yeah.
But in order to grow, in order to become, you got to face fear. Yeah. You got to act. You got to move.
They use it in dating. Oh, you ain't doing nothing. They use it politically, or you got these people coming over the border, taking your jobs. You have it in, we have to use our fucking brains and decide, and I'm going to say this, what type of person am I? What type of country do I believe in? And do I believe what this country is supposed to be? There ain't no motherfucking Mexicans taking our jobs. Technology is. Then you got to get with the program. If this chick is telling you, you too good for me, believe her. Believe her. Move on. Use your fucking brain. Stop thinking you are what you ain't. grow as a person, get out there, explore the world, and use some humility, man. What's in the box?
Gentlemen, this has been we're past time, but I want to thank you both. It's funny because this happened the first time I came here too. But thank you both for doing this. We could do this for 10 hours straight. We're going to do this again. This has truly been a gift today to do this, not only just to get to episode 100, but to have you individuals here.
you.
Eric, to have you here. Trinidad, what up? This is all family in the room here right now, and I love the
True
theme.
love, man.
True love, and
I see you as men and people.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I just finished this book. It's a textbook that reads like a novel. It's by Dr. David Buss, Evolutionary Psychology. I got you both your own copy.
Oh, wow, look at
it
this.
Really,
Look at that. Yeah.
That's what's up.
A book.
yeah. And it goes deep, and I think he starts to make sense of a lot of these. Why are we acting the way we do? He breaks all that down, just society, sociology, mating, attraction, groups, tribalism.
Yeah, man. Thank
everything.
you, man.
But I thank you both
Thank you.
for doing this today.
What are the mechanisms of the mind that define what it means to be a human being? Yeah, but I'm gonna get at this.
Yeah. So
I
think,
would love to come back. So what? Episode 150, we'll discuss it.
That should give us enough time.
Yeah, 150. That way you can get some other people in here.
Yeah.
Talk to them. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you
I
both.
really do.
No, this has been a treat. Eric, you have any parting words?
Yeah, thanks. A lot of things you're talking about, like you said, were principles. And so it's really nice to hear that perspective, especially about facing the uncomfortableness and stuff. Like I resonated with that on multiple different levels. And then just even with the view with race, it's it makes a lot of sense. So thank you for sharing that perspective. I mean, like you said, they're principles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That we can apply in all components.
Yeah.
Big ups.
Most of us, we have more in common than we think. And as my brother alluded to, fear, that's a powerful tool. And if we can identify that and get over it, man, we could really do some incredible things. We really could as people. Because when I first met Sam, I didn't know we were going to become as good of friends as we thought. But the point is that, man, we got so much in common that. So keep an open mind, be humble, be malleable, to ideas. Say, hey, man, I didn't think of that way. I was wrong. It's okay. My age, I'm still learning. He's still learning. Everyone's still learning. Don't get comfortable enough to think you know what you're doing. I'll leave it at that.
And where can people watch Dog City?
Yes, Dog City. Dog City.
Some decisions make you.
And that is, I really thought about what the theme of this would be, or the whole thing. You make some decisions make you. You can see Dog City at www.dogcityfilm. That's dogcityfilm.com. We didn't talk enough about it. I'm going to get on your case later. But dogcityfilm.com, you can watch it. Dog City Chapter 2, be on the lookout for it. We're coming out with some new material. Hopefully, I'm already jotting down ideas for Dog City Chapter 3. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you just going to the website, checking it out. We're creating art. And if anybody knows, that is it's not an easy business. And we rely on the support of people. But I have some real actors. You've been acting how long?
99.
30 years. 25 years. He's been acting 25 years. You've been acting how long?
Be over 6-7 years.
6-7 years. I got other actors 30 years, theater trained, etc. You're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna enjoy it. Please just check it out. And if you don't enjoy it, message me and tell me why. We'll do better.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do better. I mean, I want to know.
Sure.
Tell me. I mean, I know I ain't got this shit on lock. Tell me what you think could do better. But you better know what you're talking about.
Indeed.
Hey, man, real quick, shout out to Chris Robbie, Dr. Robinson, Dr. Sip, my man Pickle Rick, Ricky Scott. Who else, man? Shout out to Kenny, Joe Beasy for coming in for Chapter 2, Sprint's Law, Kevin. Big shout out to my man Sammy D.
Indeed.
He came through, did an excellent job. I can't say enough about my brother, Angel. Big shout out to Rhino Roofing, Champagne Lounge, Chocolate City Cigars. They came through, let us shoot up in there. The Mint, my man Sweet Lou Collins. We got such love for this project, man. Because they saw what we were doing. Amanda, she came through heavy. Eric, my main man, AB, Big Rob, Stackhouse, Big House, rather, excuse me. We had such support. Donovan, Gabe, and his crew. They helped us out, man. It's a team effort. It's a team effort. I know I'm the face of this, but I want y'all to be able to check me if I ever start talking like I'm some big shot. 'Cause I'm not. I can't do this without you guys. I can't do it. And I know it. And I don't ever want to think that I can. Can you dig it?
I can dig
And
it.
so you got me on tape saying if I ever start getting like, hey, you know what?
Hey, Mr. Hollywood.
Yeah. I ain't ever gonna be Mr. Hollywood. I'm Mr. Southside, baby.
All day. 10 track.
But I appreciate, I just truly do.
And thank you, Sam. I mean, your 100th episode, that's a lot of episodes. And so I don't want it to go remiss that you chose myself and KC for a centennial. You did that for a reason. You felt that there would be something extrapolated or extolled that was worthy of a centennial, episode. I hope your viewers got that.
Yeah, man,
we
that's-
dropped some
yeah.
straight knowledge here.
Yeah.
Stuff you can walk away with and use in your life. This is not just, oh, that was good. No, you can leave with what's happened here and you can use it in your life and be a better person.
I hope that, thank you, and thank you both and everybody. And I hope people can appreciate this episode, because this is like one of the main reasons I wanted to start doing this podcast, is because I've come across in my travels people such as you two individuals where I'm like, man,
Yeah.
people need to hear that. You know,
Well,
it's,
you know,
it's a gift.
I want, you know, your viewers to appreciate that you traveled here to be here with us,
As did Kwan travel here as well.
which shows how much he valued what we have to say. Um, I'm gonna be honest. I still have so much to learn, but I've learned so much. And I value your friendship, your time, and your intellectual, ability. Not only ability, but you know when somebody's blowing some smoke. And we've always been straight with each other. We've always been square with each other, man. And we've had some really good conversations, and we've talked about a lot of things we've agreed with, some things we've disagreed with, but we've always said, I didn't think about it like that. And that's what it's about, man. What can I learn from you? What can you learn from me? You dig what I'm saying, baby?
I dig it. And I've been blessed in my life to have certain mentors and big brothers in my life. And
Right.
you've always been a big brother to me. And Kwan, as I've gotten to know you too, I view you now as that big brother person that
Respect.
Right.
that's a gift, man, to have that. And it really installs it into me. And I'm going to have to pay that forward one day to someone younger
You
than
are,
me.
and you should,
Yeah.
as you should,
So-
because that's what's going to make this better. That's what's going to make it better. Hey, young blood, think about this. Did you figure it out? There's a lot of things. You ain't going to throw pearls to swine. There's going to be some cats, as he said about me, that you're going to look at and say, hey, you know what? This cat gets it. Let me hit him to some game.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. This is a gift. I usually give the guests the last word. We have like literally a word. Final sentence from both of you.
I really hope this is a successful podcast because it was sincere. And I hope that reads to the viewer that this was sincere, man. I mean, it may have rubbed some people the wrong way, but if you paid attention, ultimately it was for growth. It may have been uncomfortable at times, but we got real men in the room, We got real men in the room, and go ahead and face that fear. It's for growth. There's no way around it. So that being said, continue to do what you do, Sam. Like I said earlier, you're a cold piece. There's a lot of meaning behind that statement. I don't throw that around lightly.
You don't.
I don't. He knows.
No, you don't.
And if you listen to my concepts, you don't get that from me easy. And so the courage that you have exhibited in this podcast is necessary. That lets me know you are willing to be uncomfortable for growth. And it's only going to be better for you because you're going to be light years ahead of people who have not chosen to be uncomfortable. They've chosen comfort, and you're going to know it. And they're going to know it about you.
Right.
A coward recognizes a brave man.
A brave man don't recognize a coward, though.
A brave man does not tolerate a coward. But a coward will recognize a brave man. So you will be in rooms with people who may have more money than you, more prestige. They're going to look at you and they're going to know, well, that's a brave man, though, because he's chosen the uncomfortable. And that's why you can exist in those rooms, because you've gone through the discomfort to achieve the growth.
Right. That's how guys can walk into a room and suck out all the air. What do you think they mean? That presence. I'm going to say I give my sincerest empathy for the editor.
That's me.
Boy, you got some work. This might even be a part 3. This has been absolutely my pleasure to do this for you. I am grateful to be on this journey with you. I'm proud to be the first interview that you did And I'm proud to be number 100, man. Even more so to be here with my brother, man. This is hard work. If you people could see the lights, all of these cameras, these microphones, they got to pack this shit up. And all them boxes, this is not easy. Please support this. Support independent art. Support independent journalism. Podcasts. And if you don't like it, tell them why. Maybe they can make some adjustments. Don't like it because don't dislike it because it didn't fit your narrative, but if there's something they can do, let them know. But please support this. And I'm saying this as an independent filmmaker. You know, we put a lot into this to create content. A lot. There's a lot this motherfucker could be doing in LA right now. But he drove out here and set up all of this to talk to us. That's worth something. It's worth something. So please, be kind, be understanding, be generous, support your local artists. Let us know that what we're doing is worth doing. If it's $1, if it's $5, if it's a subscription, just support us, please. Support our work. Support our work. I heard a proverb that said, a man will be blind all his life, but as soon as he regains sight, he gets rid of the stick he used to guide him. Don't discard us. And when we're gone, we're gone. But support us now. There's hundreds of independent artists, man, who are doing some good work. Even if you watch a movie, on Tubi that's some people say is terrible, it took a lot of work to do that. Maybe they didn't have the best actors or the best camera, but that still took a lot of work. Support them so that they can do better. I don't know, man.
Amen, brother.
God help us all.
KC, Kwane, Eric, thank you for being part of episode 100. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Sam Dever, the Sam Dever Podcast here, and I just want to thank you for checking out this episode. To watch and listen to future episodes, be sure to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@thesamdeverpodcast. Thank you so much. See you soon.